I'm here to tell you that your whole life can change in a moment. And this is that moment. And this is the word.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 4 of The Word, the Unofficial PREACHER Podcast. I'm your host, Steve.
Welcome, you motherless goat humpers. My name is Dan Ramirez. Let's talk some tombs. How's everybody doing this week?
Dude, you know what's funny? With your little corny joke on Twitter.
It had legs though, bro.
It was good, dude. I'm tripping because I was like, right when you did it, I said, I thought Dan was going to put the Stakes is High De La Soul album cover. I just knew that was your I was like, I thought he would do more of that. Stakes is High. I just knew that would be your thing. I was like, oh, he didn't do that. Interesting.
I like to keep you guessing.
You do keep me guessing. But I know, I was like, oh, if you would have put Stakes is High, I still would have been like, you corn dog.
That was the dumbest shit ever. But I'm surprised it got a lot of love. So thanks to all who enjoyed my stupid joke.
Dude, I laughed at the gym when I saw it. I laughed over and over again. I was like, of course Dan would do that.
I think it was the goose gif that it made everyone laugh. That's all it really was.
For sure. For sure. Dude, look.
Hudson, we got a hell of a show to talk about this week.
Look, dude. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. Seth Rogen, Sam Catlin,
Yep.
Evan Goldberg.
Yes, sir.
Y'all are a problem.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Y'all are a freaking problem this season.
From the bottom of this guy's heart, I want to say thank you very much for finally bringing it. You always said you would, but you made good on it.
Dude, I mean...
We should have trusted him, dude. We should have trusted him.
We should have. I mean, I would ask everybody what they thought about it, but the only way that I could do that and get a response is to give you the contact information. Is that right, Dan?
That's a lovely segue, sir. Yes.
Like
yes, I do. And allow me to do so. What's happening, everybody? My name's Dan Ramirez, and welcome to The Word, the Unofficial PREACHER Podcast. Steve's talking about how, you should contact us and talk about last night's show or any other show for that matter, or anything you want to. Hell, call us assholes. We don't care. Do us a favor. Email. This is how you do it. askthewordpodcast@gmail.com. That is askthewordpodcast@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Twitter, and you've been doing so regularly. Thank you very much. You can hit us up at @word_podcast. Reach myself, Dan, at Dan Q Public, and my buddy Steve at SE_Hudson Music. You can find us, you can find this show, you can find the other show that we do, which is called Heroes of Noise Podcast, where we talk about movies, TV, music, things like that. A lot of BS a lot of the time. And you can find all of this at www.heroesofnoise.com. Again, that's www.heroesofnoise.com. While you're there, subscribe to the show or shows, preferably both. You can do so on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever podcasts are heard. We've got all the links up. And if there's one that you want us to put on there, let us know, because we aims to please. Leave us a 5-star review when you're there. And other than that, I'll stop asking you guys to do me favors, because we're here for you, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Word. Let's talk. Steve, back to you, sir.
Dude, look, there's been many times in life where I've been corrected. Very few times in life where the correction so immediately hits me in the brain, where it's just like, how didn't I see that? My dumbness clouded my vision. And today we have an email from one of our dear listeners that schooled us both. And we would like to share that with everyone, because I know we're not the only ones that thought this. And hopefully this kind of illuminates your view on what the book is trying to tell you happened. Preacher specifically is trying to tell you happened between Tulip and Cassidy.
She put us in our place, G. And I appreciate it, though. I don't think she did it out of ill will or any kind of, there was no animosity there. She just kind of went, gentlemen, I love you. And she does say that, too, so I can go ahead and say that. However,
yes,
you guys done messed up. So this is where I have to step in with cape on back and tell you guys what the hell's going on.
Her cape with the W for woke.
Woke for sure, bro. That's a good one. I like that. Woke woman.
Her woke cape.
So this one is coming from Emmy. You can reach her on Twitter at @undercover_Emmy. I don't think she minds saying that because it is in the email. So Emmy, if you do mind that, I'm sorry, but I don't think you will because you're cool like that. This is kind of a long one, guys. I'm going to do my best. I always say this, but seriously, this is a long one, and it's worth reading all the way through.
Yes.
So I will do my best to make this go quickly and painlessly. And here goes nothing. Hi, Dan and Steve. Been enjoying Heroes of Noise and the Return of the Word. Thank you very much for that. I've been meaning to write you guys all season because I have a bone to pick with your interpretation of the love triangle. You might just be trying to avoid blatant spoilers in the Word on the issue, and I'm totally off base, but I had to weigh in. Spoiler-filled rant below. I'm going to go ahead and just address that first. No, we weren't trying to do that. I could have lied to you and said, yeah, that's exactly what we were trying to do. But it's just not the case, Emmy. So
Nope.
No. So, we pre-apologize, and that's all we can really do. That's the best we can do right now. When you talk about the comic, you tend to imply that Cassidy betrayed Jesse by pursuing Tulip after she believed Jesse had died. Cassidy didn't pursue her. He raped her repeatedly. He took advantage of her addiction problems and grief to drug her out of her mind because he knew she wouldn't fuck him otherwise. That is rape and a betrayal of her. To say that he betrayed Jesse is to say that he betrayed Jesse's property rights over Tulip. That's a very good point, which is the smallest of his sins in this regard. That said, Preacher is ultimately about masculinities, so Jesse takes his view initially as well. He makes her rape about his failure to protect her, a running theme and comic Jesse's biggest flaw. And she has to call him out in one of the many lines from the comic. Now, I'll read it off, but I guess it'll probably be out of context, but she actually put in a screenshot of the comic, of the part that she's talking about. And underneath, of course, she puts, yeah, your girl got screenshots. She does. She came through. She came through, man. Emmy, you're the shit. So I'm going to go ahead and read it anyway. I don't know if it's going to be the context if you guys are going to get the context of this, especially if you haven't read the book, but I'm going to go ahead and put this in because she was so kind to attach it. And when you put in the effort, we want to make good,
Word.
So it's a screen cap of a couple of panels. The first one is of Tulip, Comics Tulip, and it says, I don't let bad things stop me from doing something I love since I was 2 years old. But you have to chew things over and brood and brood and brood and think dark, iron-bound thoughts until you're just eaten up by your troubles. You torture yourself. I saw you starting to do it. You were over there with this deep, soulful look on your face, trying to fit all of the shit we've had thrown at us into that what a man's got to do mind of yours. And I thought, my God, I cannot imagine anything funnier than getting him in the face with a snowball right now, this second. So just a little bit of a panel, but I think she put that in more for the area in the story where, what she's referring to. But thank you for doing so. And it just reminds me, I love the art. I love the freaking art.
Yes, I really do.
Jesse has every right to want Cassidy dead because he's a rapist and abuser who hurt someone he loves, not because he has exclusive property rights to her junk. I like that. I actually think the slow reveal of Cass as an abuser is the most brilliant aspect of the comic. To the reader, he starts out so charming, dangerous but charming, and funny enough to let all the murder shit go in context. Then you meet his scary friends and blow it off as not his fault. Then you start to hear what he's done to other women, and you shrug because he's a vampire and it's comic from the 90s. Then you find out about the eye he knocked out and the use of heroin to control women in the past. Then he rapes Tulip. You realize he's an abuser at the same time Jesse and Tulip do. You realize that you, the reader, have been making excuses for a charming character, caught up in the way that charming abusers reel people in and isolate them in life. Damn, ain't that the truth? I don't know, right? I don't know that Ennis would call that arc a feminist statement, but I certainly would. It absolutely broke my heart when I first read the comic. If the show throws that away just to keep Cass likable or actually has Tulip fall in love with him, I'll be furious. But I don't think they're going to. When show Tulip told Cass she loves him, it felt platonic to me. And I think to him too, since he went for that love spell after that. Tulip is obviously a very different character in the show, and she doesn't have the history of addiction that comic Tulip has for Cass to use against her. Instead, he has the magic version of the date rape drug, a love spell. If he uses, that's a good one too. If he uses that love spell to manipulate her ability to consent, he is a rapist. But if that's what they're setting up, it needs to wait until the very end of the series. He'd have to hold on to it and not use it until Monument Valley. Gilgan is a major draw for the show. If they make Cass a rapist this early, it's going to hurt the ratings and also fuck up the reveal as Ennis designed it. Anyway, I love you guys, and I'm interested in your interpretation of this part of the comic and how the show is setting things up. Look forward to next week. Emmy. And P.S. Steve, you've seen Ruth Negga before. She's the girl in the flower dress from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You guys should also check out Misfits for Heroes of Noise episodes sometimes. Ruth Negga is a few episodes of Season 2, and Joe Gilgan is basically the star of Season 3 forward. Ewan Rayon, who you also know, I don't know if his name's Rayon, because that sounds like
the most evil person that I've seen on screen.
Seriously, that dude is the worst. And I think I'm saying it rightly. Ewan Rayon, it's something like that. Who you all know as Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones is in it too. Ooh. You guys will absolutely love it, and it's free on Hulu. It is. I watched 5 episodes of this weekend, and I freaking love it.
Love it. I'm up to the episode where something happens to the brother man. Brother man finds out what his true gift is. That's all.
Oh, okay. You're not that far then.
Yeah.
We're about the same spot. But that's it. Yeah. Emmy, thank you very much. I think we have a lot of explaining to do. And, you know, to listeners, I don't think that anyone would take this from us. If you listen to our other show, you know damn well that we respect women and things like that. And obviously this isn't some type of I don't feel that Emmy thought that we were like disrespecting women, but I do think that we had it a little bit twisted in the comics. So let's do some explaining.
This was simply this, a blind spot that I didn't see until she brought it up, till Emmy illuminated. She was being raped. The end. Tulip was being raped, and I, in my masculine brain, saw it as a love triangle. There is no love triangle. She was taken away and raped, and it was her dependency was used as a weapon to rape her. The end. And this is one of those teachable moments where I was just like, I saw that wrong. That was a total blind spot. And I'm glad we have a listener like Emmy to be like, oh, by the way, this is this huge blind spot for you. Because who knows what that blind spot could have done later on. I might have been reading something else, got on to the recording and been like, so there's this love triangle, right? And people were like, wait, what? This is literally a chapter called Rape. And you think it's a love triangle? Like, because my brain just clicks off when something like that is happening, as far as on when I'm looking, like, let me put it a better way. What they did in Preacher, and me thinking, oh, wow, I wonder if they're going to do the whole thing where Cassidy runs off with Tulip. The fact that that's the way I explained it, right there is a problem. Right there is a problem. He didn't run off with Tulip. She had a chemical dependency. He then used it to keep her drugged, and he raped her. How I didn't see that is just ridiculous. So thank you, Emmy. Thank you very, very much for illuminating that blind spot in my brain.
I want to punctuate Steve's thoughts with my own, and I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm not denying anything. I believe that if this email came to us, then we in fact said something. And I told her this in an email response, which I didn't put on here or anything like that. But I did tell her that I was having trouble remembering that. I went back and I listened to it. And it's weird to me because I've read this book like 6-7 times now. More than that, probably. Probably close to 10. So if I was agreeing with it or saying something, I mean, it might have just been for the sake of keeping the flow going on that. But yes, it's kind of black and white when you do read that. That's exactly what's going on to Steve. But she got raped. The end. And I think a lot of people that are, when you look on Twitter, you see that there are the Gilgan lovers out there, the ones that are into him because of his looks and his charm and how he is on the show. And I think that the non-readers that are just watching Preacher, should Seth and Evan decide to go down that path and create something, I mean, after this week's episode, who knows what's going to happen? But if they are to do something like that, simulate the scenes that were in the comic, I think a lot of people are going to be freaked out because of how much love they've put into Joseph Gilgan at this point. They're going to be angry. The viewers are going to be angry.
I totally agree. And again, Emmy, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Emmy. Very good point.
Emmy's dope. What are we going to do?
I don't know. But now that we feel all bad, I guess we'll just go ahead and continue with the show.
Well, the interesting thing is blind spots like that apparently lead to the presidency. So that's
By the way, we're recording on Monday afternoon. So if you're kind of, in tune with what's going on in the world, I don't care what side you're on. You know where our thoughts are right now, where our head is. And I'm pissed, to be honest with you. So it just gives me all this. I'm going to channel that anger and frustration, Steve, into a breakdown. What do you say?
Let's go!
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ready for a breakdown, I know that I am. Welcome again to The Word, the Unofficial Preacher Podcast. Let me go ahead and break this one down for you. This is Season 3, Episode 3, The Tombs, directed by Wayne Yip and written by Mark Stegman. And I think we're going to go ahead and just start rocking it, Steve. What do you say?
Let's roll!
All right, so we open up with this long shot of this familiar corridor. I'm already excited about this, man. I got little chills and shit. A guard walks to one of the various doors, then this long hallway, and he looks through this window. And we see the reflection on his face of a scene that's playing out. I think I saw that as a black and white scene, but they accentuate it with color. You know what I mean? And what they're doing is they're telling us, hey, guess where you are? You're in hell, and there's a hell scene playing out right now. We see a crow picking out an eye, which was a good signal. If you're paying attention, you know that this could only be one person. And we find out very shortly. The man opens up the door. The guard opens the door, and he tells him it's time. Suddenly we see these giant boots.
Oh, man.
We see these giant boots step out. And on the back of those boots are spurs, my friend. And we know. We are 100% positive at this point that we know we're in hell. And we are welcoming back Saint of Killers.
Oh, man.
I mean, just that alone got my blood pumping, you know?
The reveal, and the fact that his robe is maybe 4 inches off the ground.
Yeah, it kind of looked like he was wearing high waters at first until I realized that it was his duster that he was wearing.
It is so dope. And I was like, and my thing was, you know how long I've been waiting for the reveal of the Saint.
This season, right?
Yeah, this season. I've been waiting for him to come back this season and for him to come stepping out like that.
For him to be in this scene. Is so important, man. It's so important to the readers because we're about to jump in headfirst into source material. And I'm so excited about it. So I'll go ahead and continue on. So Saint of Killers is led to an elevator. The guard punches a button and it tells him that it's going to take them to level -9. Now, I'm assuming, Steve, and I know other people thought this too, that this is essentially the 9th circle of hell. Is that what you got out of this?
I have to, yes.
Yeah, the 9th level, 9th circle of hell. That's how I heard it was the 9th circle of hell, but that's not what they said on the show. Elevator door opens up, and flames immediately just lick the both of them, come out, and you hear like a growling sound, and you know damn well where you are. And the Saint steps out, and then we hear this other growl, and I have to give props to the visual team at AMC, because they pulled this scene right out of the comic. I mean, it looks exactly like one of the frames. Satan's lair.
You know what's interesting?
What's that?
So I'm on Twitter, and Julianne Emery put out a tweet. Did you see this tweet?
I may have.
Dominic Cooper?
Yes, the one he's dancing?
Apparently, that fire, it looks like it's for real LCD screens, just with fire going underneath them. That's crazy.
Yeah, apparently they loved that set so much that they were all in there taking selfies and stuff like that. So it's just I think they're in a room of LCDs, is what it is.
That is so freaking dope, G.
So effective. It looked really, really good.
I mean, and I was like, because if I wouldn't have seen that tweet, I would have thought, okay, what they did is they CGI'd some sort of, but I'm like, I guess it would be cheaper just to put a bunch of LCDs instead of being like, why are we going to pay all this money for how many minutes of CGI would they have? They would have to have done a ton of it. So they're like, you know what? They have enough CGI walking to the office. We might as well just have the office be for real.
Right.
And it
they were
had
cost effective.
Totally. And you know what? Here's what I love. Obviously, it looked like LCD screens, obviously, but it was so effective that it was like cartoony, and I loved it. They didn't try to make some amazing, no, they're like, yeah, this is a pulled out of the book thing. This is a panel that you're looking at. And I loved it, dude. I loved it.
You know, if you really wanted to overthink it, you really could think like that is Satan's office, right?
Yes.
So maybe that's just how he wanted to decorate it. You know what I mean? If you really wanted to overthink it.
That's true. He'd be like, no, you can't see the fire from my office. Okay, sir. How about we just put LCDs to make fire? All right, that'll do it.
I like you. You'll burn a little less today. Good job.
Exactly. I like your thinking. You know, I thought it was really, really good. So, okay.
So we have actual source material now. And again, thanks so much to the makers of Preacher, because we have been waiting for this for such a long time. And not that my faith wasn't restored before, but it is completely restored now. And I'm so excited to see where this season takes us.
Mm-hmm.
We actually jumped a tiny bit ahead, but before Saint of Killers even walks into Satan's lair, he's stepping over bones. He's walking through hellfire. It just looks dope.
It looks dope.
He then steps into Satan's chambers, and the camera pans up towards the back of this throne, and we hear Satan starting to speak. Well, before I go any further, what did you think of his persona, Steve?
The persona of Satan was, for me, they could have gone 100 different ways. I think for this series and the theme of this series, it was a perfect character. I think that this is the character for this series. That's the perfect guy. And I had to look up who he was, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a dude from The Walking Dead. That's crazy.
What season?
Another AMC show.
I didn't recognize him. Because I looked him up too, but what season is he in?
I thought he was like in the last few seasons.
Well, that would explain a lot, because I didn't watch the last few seasons.
Yeah. And so I looked, I was like, oh my goodness. But technically, they were hiring either A, an AMC character that they love so much, or B, they were hiring a personality, because you could have put anybody under that makeup. It's the personality you're hiring. And that personality was perfect. Especially, you know what's crazy for me?
What's that?
The big deal for me was the fact that I'm sorry, somebody just ringed my doorbell, and so it threw off.
Go hook it up. Go do what you got to do.
No. I never. Who answers the doorbell? It's like someone calling you.
You know, it's one of those Vivint guys trying to sell you some solar panels or something like that.
Of course, I'm like, you didn't see them already up there because I'm a pimp. But I think no, but.
Now who's laughing at their own joke, buddy?
I know, but I think the dope thing about how Satan was, or I mean, did he? We have to know that he said, because he never addressed himself as such.
No, but I mean, I think it's just safe to assume.
Totally. I like how nonchalant. There's a part that comes later that shocked me because of how in a few minutes oh, dude, I don't want to say that. You kind of think he's kind of cool. You're like, oh,
it's okay. You can think
cool.
Satan's cool, dude. I think.
Yeah, it was like, oh, this
right.
go-between is going to be all right. This little conversation is just going to be okay, you want this, I want this sort of thing. And that's because of the character that he played so well.
Two associates just doing business, basically.
That's what I thought, because he was like, hey. But yeah, he suckered me in. But again, Saint is never a fool. I don't think for Saint, he's never been asked something, or he's never been given something for free. So obviously he's going to think, for what? Anything he asks, but we're getting kind of ahead. But again, I love how the Saint is just not tripping on this dude's wonderful personality. It's just not doing anything for Saint of Killers. Nothing. He's like, okay, G, I've been here long enough to know that this is not how it's going to go. So I loved it.
Dude, Graham McTavish does so much with so little on that. I mean, they dress him up like the Saint. It's the way he carries himself. It's the situations that he's getting put into. But I mean, he's really not saying anything, yet he's the Saint.
And the thing is, I love how they made it so that, look, technically in the power scheme of things, Satan can just get rid of Saint of Killers. He showed that he is in fact in control. There's no question at this point. Like, I thought it was going to be like, well, this is going to be interesting. No. Satan can just kill Saint of Killers if he wanted to. I think he showed his power. He showed it like, look, I am the one down here. And I like that without him trying to be like, oh, he literally being cool, calm, and collected showed how, yeah, this tough guy does nothing for me. He doesn't scare me. He doesn't make me shook.
I think that's why he comes off so cool, calm, and collected in the series, rather. It's just because that's it. It's exactly, I'm Satan. What the fuck are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Nothing. He literally is not worried about this. It's the last thing on his brain is worrying about this guy. Because when your CEO steps down and you're next up, hey, no one in this company could tell me nothing.
That's it.
I loved that. There was never they could have done the whole thing where Saint of Killer moves a little and Satan kind of jumps. Hell no. No.
I'm glad they didn't, because I wouldn't have bought it.
Exactly. And this is the first. When have you ever seen someone this comfortable around Saint?
He's Satan, dude.
Exactly.
He's comfortable all the time. Hey, real quick, I do want to give some props to the actor that played him. His name is Jason Douglas, and you can reach him on Twitter at Mr. Jason Douglas, Mr. Jason Douglas, if you want to follow him on Twitter. I just wanted to give him some props because I think he did a very good job last night.
Oh, dude, look. I hope, and I don't know because I didn't want to ruin myself on IMDb. I hope this isn't the last we see of this guy.
You know, I don't think it's going to be that way now because, and we'll get into it in just a second here, but there are variations. You know, the story has changed a little bit, even though they gave us what we were looking for. Mm-hmm. In the typical, AMC Preacher fashion, they have varied the story a little bit, and that's okay. But I do think that we'll be seeing him more because there's a you know what? Let me just continue on, and then we'll get back to that in just a second.
Go for it. All right, let's do it.
So like I was saying, the camera pans up, and we start to hear the voice of Satan. He's speaking to someone on the phone. I'll get back to that, too. Satan says, yeah, he's coming in now. That's right. No loose ends. I expect the same thing on your side. Yes, thrice blessed, All-Father. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. And he hangs up the phone. Let's talk about that variation right there. I don't recall there ever being a connection with the All-Father and Satan at any point in time in the comic.
I do not remember that. I will thumb through. I don't remember that being the case, but I also I don't think that that's a throwaway.
How so? What do you mean?
I don't think that they accidentally put that in.
Well, no, of course not. But you're talking about the TV show, right?
Yeah, the TV show. They didn't just do that as a throwaway
Yeah,
line.
that's what I'm getting at, is that because that's why I'm saying that we're going to see him again, because now he's connected with the All-Father, which I haven't really gotten to yet, but I'll go ahead and just say this part. He's going to put, the Saint on a mission. So the Saint, to get what he needs, has to come back, has to return to him anyway. So we will see him by the end of the season. Plus, well, let me continue. I'm so excited that I'm kind of jumping around with this one, but I love this scene so much. So Satan, as well as the Angel of Death, who for this one is going by, this is another variation, goes by the name of Sydney, who is an attractive woman. They greet the Saint of Killers, and Satan tells Sydney to sit down, relax, have a sandwich, drink a glass of milk. And then he goes, is from, meaning that the quote that he just used is from a movie. Sydney replies, midnight runs, but she's corrected by Satan, who says, no, it's midnight run, but forget about it, the moment has passed, and, that's it. Take the gentleman's duster, let the grown-ups talk, is what he says. He then turns his attention back to the Saint. He lets him know why he's been summoned. And because it's Satan and it's something that's source material, and I'm not being lazy, but I just think that they're going to say it much better than I do. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the first audio clip of the day. Here we go. This is Satan talking to the Saint of Killers.
Crazy, huh? I want to see you. You want to see me. Kismet, I think they call that. Is that right? Sounds right. Anyway, what matters is we're here, two men speaking our minds. There is one item, though, small. No big deal, really, but needs tending to. Do you mind? Good. It's about your little trip upstairs. The breakout. And look, I get it. If I'm doing my time and a couple of angels walk in and tell me I can take a walk, I am Godzilla, baby. No doubt about it. Breathe some air, eat a Slim Jim. That's a good deal. But what's a good deal for you is not always a good deal for me. Then souls escaping my realm, that's actually bad for me. And what's bad for me is just bad. Did you know God is gone? And as you can imagine, I've got plans. Big plans. But without my reputation, those plans go the way of Gary, Indiana. So, short story long, I'm gonna need you to make amends. And now look, obviously, I'm a fan. I don't like this any more than you do. And if it were up to me, well, actually, it is up to me. Just know, this is not my favorite part. Oh, who am I kidding? It totally is.
And this is the part where Sydney, a.k.a. the Angel of Death, begins the lashes across Saint of Killer's back, which is more information that's pulled from the comic. It's different, but pulled from the comic, and I really take no fault with any of that there.
Did you notice the biblical symbolism in that scene?
What's that?
Well, both of those fixtures went through his hands and feet, through them, like punctured them,
right?
Like a crucifixion,
right? And
then he says, and he also gets whipped like Christ did, hypothetically in the Bible.
That's true.
And he said, "This is my favorite part." Like he likes that thing. So he likes it. That's what they. He likes when people get whipped like Christ. He's like, oh, this is my favorite part of stuff. And he got whipped just like, I was like, oh, that's cool.
Let me ask you, did you pull that from, when you were reading it initially, did you pull that from the comic?
Yes.
Oh, good for you. But you're well versed in this too.
Exactly. So I'm like, oh, I see what they did. You silly goose.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but Steve actually is a preacher and he works on the weekends.
I am, yeah.
Spreading the word of God.
I'm a preacher.
It's amazing. Yeah. You do a damn fine job.
Door to door.
Oh, no. You're not one of those guys, are you?
No, I'm not.
I had one of those guys come to my door this weekend, and I'm always tempted to answer the door in my underwear, just for the hell of it. You know what I mean? Or
show them your physique. Show them your luciferic physique.
My luciferic physique? Yeah. Because much like Satan on this show, I'm rocking at least a 36 pack. My man was jacked. Completely jacked.
And the thing is, I think they did that whole Hellboy with him, and it looks great.
They did a really good job on the makeup.
I mean, it looked it was believable, dude. Like comic book believable.
Oh, agreed. I kind of miss having Dave Blass around because, he was very vocal and very present on Twitter, and he would show you things. He would give you Easter eggs and things like that, which we don't seem to be getting this year. That said, being that he's not there, but he or she, just to be on the safe side, is doing an outstanding job.
Totally.
I think this might be with, again, I'm always going to have, the love for Dave Blass because of how much he brought into the show and how much he involved the fans. But this might be the best looking season, dude. What do you think? As far as just the way the cinematography is and everything, I think it looks outstanding.
I don't know, because the first season, as much as I wasn't it didn't tickle my fancy too much, the big production of it was pretty impressive.
That's true.
The factory, the underground factory, all that stuff. I'm like, oh, they're creating a thing. I was like, oh, that's pretty freaking impressive. And then also the second season, when you're talking about the that hotel thing that they did, that remember the big old van flip when they were fighting the Saint. Those are big things that are like, wow, this is like a movie production. So
what I think is really cool, though, is that Dave Blass is still, it's almost like if he was pastor, I'm saying like he's passed, like he's doing this from the grave, but he actually tweeted out something I think it was today or maybe last night. And what it was the original artwork for Satan. Mm-hmm. It was like the workup and, just have comments and things like that about what they could do for the original artwork, right? So he puts this up today, and then he put another picture in. He's like, if you guys were paying attention in season 1, this is actually above Eugene's desk. And then there's a picture of it, and you see like the people that are working on the show. And then like if you zoom in, you can actually see that picture there. So he's still contributing to the show, and he's not even on anymore. Thank you, Dave. We really appreciate you, man.
I think that is, I'm going to call it. I think that is the scene we're going to talk most about this episode, Winter.
Well, it's definitely the highlight of the show for me.
I rewound that and I was like, dude, this is so cool. I did not do that for any other scene though. And I loved the episode, but that scene was the one. That was the one with the Saint reveal, him walking across that bridge of bones, and then going into Satan's office, the kind of crucifixion theme, and the whole thing with the Angel of Death. What's going to happen with her? She's not just there for fun. And is the Angel of Death his sister or his girl? I don't know that yet. So it was just like, I kept on rewinding, but like, okay, let me look for clues here.
I'm sure we missed something too.
Oh yeah, for sure. But all the other scenes were straight up self-explanatory. This one, there was a lot of little... like, what's going on here?
It was nice to see the energy that was coming, because I was live tweeting last night, and it was nice to see the energy from the fans, like how stoked they were about this. It's nice, man. It really feels like everyone's kind of on board this time. You don't get a lot of haters this season, at least from what I've seen. It seems to be all nothing but praise.
Oh, for sure. And the thing is, they really need to start working on their viral content, because they could have totally done like a behind the scenes makeup doing them doing the makeup for Luce or Satan, them actually doing the makeup, showing them, and like all that stuff would go viral on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
And then people would want to see it. They're like, oh snap, what's this show? Well, let me see Satan then at least. And then it'll make them be like, oh, you know what, I might check this out. But they're not doing that. They're not showing check out this room full of LEDs, them putting it up, showing how they're putting them up and programming. I think they're underestimating how interested people are at that stuff.
Agreed, man, because that would totally be something I'd be into. I mean, we do, we love having all those details anyway, but even on the other show, it's nice to have that behind the scenes and how it was made, information. It just makes for a better experience, I think.
That would be fantastic. The only thing I would say don't do that would be showing Saint out of his character. Just leave that alone, but everybody else can be shown out of character. There is something to be said for Saint being believable. And that suspension of disbelief is because you don't see him any other way. He is such an over-the-top character that's understated. He's over the top, though. To believe that guy is for real is a suspension of disbelief that you have to have, and you can't have him in the camera being like, hey, everybody. Nope, you can't do it.
I remember last year I sent you this picture. I don't even remember what it was from, but it was a picture of Graham McTavish, and he's like doing a little dance on the picture. Yes. And he was in his normal clothes, bald. And you were almost pissed that I sent that to you. Like, dude, don't ruin this for me.
You have to, it's just like, if this didn't help at all, but I remember when I was really, really, really scared of Thriller, Remember, people were tripping out because it was, satanic, they said. And what they did is they released the making of Thriller.
Yeah.
And the reason Michael did that was to be like, well, at least people can see that I'm not really a ghoul from the dead. And maybe, maybe people will stop being so freaked out.
They're like, this is a John Landis production. Calm the hell down.
Exactly. Show them dancing, show them putting on the makeup, show them putting on the wolf makeup, which didn't help me at all. And see if you believe this less, which is what would happen with Saint. You would believe it less because you've seen him having fun in the outfit. But right now, he is the Saint for me every time he's on. Whereas you could have had fun with Satan because that's him. Whatever fun he had off camera, you'll be like, yeah, but it fits on camera too because he's that guy. Saint, you can't be like, oh, you silly goose, we messed up our line. No.
There's nothing tougher than saying, oh, you silly goose. And that's what Steve and I pride ourselves on, is how tough we are. You know what I mean?
You haven't seen how imposing Dan is.
Yeah.
Luciferic.
Crying at movies and shit. Anyway, all right, here we go. Get back to it, ladies and gents.
Yes.
So that last scene where we have the Saint all strung up is, in fact, the intro point. So we get our intro, and then we come back from break. And this is where we find Tulip. This is a continuation of last week. We have Tulip, and she's doing a standoff with Madame Boyd. She's got a gun pulled on her, and she asks her, how do I break the spell? Madame Boyd replies, I ain't helping you, and you ain't getting out of here. And as she says this, extra security walls close in around them, much like a panic room, to further make her point. Men can be heard from outside, pounding on the door, yelling to be let in. Tulip grabs a gun from a fallen thug that had been there and shoots at the door, and I believe she ends up taking them out too. So it's not the best door. It's not the best. It's still cheap. You know what I mean? If it's a panic room, not the best door is what I'm getting at. She tells Madame Boyd, watch your toes. And this is where she does something. This would be my... How can I put this? I love Tulip, but this would be the oh come on scene. Even though we were just in hell, this would be the oh come on scene of the entire episode. Yes. And Tulip does something that's straight out of a Bugs Bunny or a Roadrunner cartoon. She grabs this gun and she basically tells her watch your toes, and she shoots a circle around them, stomps on the floor, Steve, and they fall to the next level. Now, my father-in-law, rest his soul, if he was watching this, he would have some complaints about this because he would be talking about subfloors, plumbing, you know what I mean? How did it go so well? But anyway, it is what it is, and that's what makes Tulip on the show anyway, right? But that was the one thing where I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I didn't like that scene.
But that's just
I'm going to be real with you. I didn't like it.
Yeah, no big deal. It's very small.
Very small, yes. It was a 2-minute scene.
If that. But still, it was a little silly. Let's forget it happened, Steve. How about that?
Yes.
Let's carry on. All right, guys. So the next scene, we find ourselves back in the tombs, and we have a young Jesse who's wearing a top hat. He looks up and he says, welcome, you motherless goat humpers, as the crowd roars with delight. And this is where we get another flash like our normal flash. So this time I liked it because it was just so it's just back in the day. We get one across the screen. Young Jesse has clearly just seen Gladiator because he addresses the crowd and he says, are you not entertained? So I guess this gives us a timeline now. If we're going off a true timeline, this basically puts us in the year 2000 when this is going on. I checked.
So Preacher must be like 27?
I was thinking about that. That wouldn't, because I don't know if I recall them saying he was in his 30s. He definitely doesn't look like he's in his 20s. So
no,
I'm going to go ahead and think that he's probably around 18 years old. Give us another 20 years. That puts him at around, no, sorry, not 20 years. I'm jumping ahead. 18 years. That puts him at around 36. Yeah.
Is he 18 when because he looks like 15 years old when he's...
I'm not entirely sure how old he is, but because he was in high school still. So, yeah, 17, 18. Yeah. I'm thinking so he's probably 35. He's between like 34 and 36. I'm guessing.
Okay, there we go. All right.
Definitely in his 30s.
That's the dangerous part about putting actual timestamps on things. Oh, I just got to see Gladiator. You're like, oh, well then I remember that. And that would make you this. Oh, or he's just a kid that looks really young. He might also be that.
Well, we're clearly in the present. I mean, they're using smartphones and things like that.
That's true.
Yeah. So they just had to move. Again, you can't do what you did in the 90s. There's just too much.
No.
There's too much non-PC material there to work with that they would have to completely. Well, they did. They changed it. They did the right thing. Yeah. They progressed and they modernized the show. So yeah, I'm guessing 2000 is the accurate time that they're in, and so that probably puts him at around like between 34 and 36 years old.
Okay, so he's about 16, 17 in this scene.
Right around there, something like that.
Which is even more devastating.
This kid, he grew up hard.
So sad, dude.
He grew up hard, Steve.
Yes, and he's in this. Like, he is not fronting. He has turned into this circus guy. He's in it.
I think he's in it, but I think he's in it reluctantly. Actually, I know he's in it reluctantly, and I'll explain why in just a second.
Okay.
So Jesse tells the crowd that they're in for a show, as tonight 2 merciless monsters will fight as if their very souls are on the line. And if they advance to the redemption round, they'll be taking on Jody. The men are all injected with something. The 2 men that are fighting, I should say, are injected with something into their arms. I'm guessing it's maybe like adrenaline or something like that. And they do this like scream, and Jesse yells, "Let's fight!" And then he walks away from the crowd as the fighting begins. So he's sitting there against the wall, and he notices one of the people that are like really into the fighting, and he pulls him aside to talk to him. Jesse's talking to this guy, and he's asking him like why he's even there in the first place. And the guy replies that he's not betting this time. He's just soaking up the ambience. Jesse tells him he better soak up some smarts too, or he's going to have to, deal with Madame Langell, because he clearly has not paid his debts yet. He then shoos him away, hoping that no one sees, but unfortunately that's not the case. He was trying to save his ass, and I guess in this case he did. We never know if this is going to come back to it, because they tend to do that a lot. But as he shoos the guy away, he turns around and he finds Jody standing behind him, who pretty much saw the whole thing. Jesse asks him, What did you want me to do? How much more did you want me to squeeze out of him, or something like that? And Jody replies, "Every last drop." And then he does the Hannibal Lecter thing, which is just gross. That shit grosses me out. Jesse tells him to go easy this time, in which Jody replies, "It's easy every time." Cracks his knuckles, and he makes his way out to the fight. The next scene, we find TC, who's in another room just down the hall, and he's doing his TC science thing. He's pouring some unknown liquid, which to me looks like urine, I'm just saying, into these various test tubes. And Jesse enters and tells him that Jody's up and that they're going to need 2 more men. And TC replies, "Darn busy season. Okay, let's see what we got." He says, "Okay, boys, who wants a chance at getting his soul back?" And he pushes this button to a conveyor, which reminded me of a laundromat, something you'd see at a laundromat. And we see, or like a cattle maybe. Maybe it's more like a cattle thing. And we see these men enter the room that are chained and shackled on this conveyor. They're walking around, and all the men are asking for a chance, to fight, to possibly get their soul back. They're like, pick me, pick me. And even the pedophile science teacher, who TC addresses as Hal, says he's ready. And TC tells him to calm down because he just got there. He stops the conveyor and detaches an Asian man from the line. And as he does, he makes casual conversation with Jesse, which I thought was kind of funny considering what they're doing. He's like, "You got any plans this weekend?" Jesse tells him not much, that he'll probably go and see Gladiator again. And this is where TC sees through it, because again, we have a smarter TC in the TV version. And he tells him, "Careful, Miss Marie don't find out who you're really going to see. Pretty girl like that won't do so good down here." Jody then stops the conveyor and attaches yet another person, who's this bulky, bald white guy. He's got this massive scar across his head. And I noticed that a lot of the other ones have scars across their head too, which could mean a couple of things to me, Steve. The first thing that I thought was, are they lobotomizing these guys for the sake of putting up less of a fight? But then they're fighting, so I guess that might not be the case. Or is this just them getting patched up from like various fights that they've been in? They get their asses kicked, they get beat down near death, TC fixes him back up and then just puts him back in line again. What do you think?
I think it is what I think it is them fighting and they have scars. What this show is capable of, they're being lobotomized.
Right? One never knows. That's what I was asking.
I would totally believe that they're like, oh, you know what an easy way of going about this would be? Taking away their fighting centers or their argument centers. So that the problem is they still have that please help thing. And I don't know if they would had they have a part of their brain taken away.
You know what? I think it is the latter. I think that they're just getting patched up. And as you were talking, there's something that's going to come up later where I think it's going to answer this question for me.
Cool. All right.
So from the fighting section of the tombs, you can hear the crowd chanting. They're like, "Jody, Jody, Jody." TC tells the men, "All right, fellas, no business like show business." And he leads them out to the fight. So as he's walking the men into this fight, there's a man that passes him, and he's got this I think it's like a wheelbarrow, and he's wheeling out a dead body. And this is what I was just getting at. TC says, "God dang it, Jody, I can't patch up the dead ones." So maybe that's it right there.
Oh,
these guys, that's it. So I just jumped the gun a little bit. He's patching these guys up. I guess it's just a matter, you know what it is? It's for good television. You have a big scar going across the head. It's going to look a lot better than a scar that you can't see on someone's body.
Yes, agreed.
Jody tells him, "I got to go where the spirit leads me." And he kind of pumps his fist and he walks out into the hallway. "Besides, we got the kid here roping in all the pigeons with that fancy voice of his." He turns his attention to Jesse and says, "Right, kid? Don't you think there's lots more where he come from?" And Jesse agrees with a hint of reluctance in his voice.
Yep.
He takes a breath. He puts back on the top hat and he makes his way back out to the fight. And this is where we get a song playing over, which is what we included in our intro this week, which is Beat the Devil's Tattoo by Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. Good song. Plays over the scene. The crowd's throwing money out, just like they're at a strip club, and the fight rages on. But then we get this seamless time jump. So it's like what I mean by that is you see like the camera panning past this wall, and then suddenly it's the same wall, but suddenly we're in modern times now. And the way that we know that is because on the wall is inscribed Vamp and then another person's name, and they're keeping score of the fights that are going on. The camera continues to pan, and we now find Cassidy holding a machete, and another man has this electric hedge clippers is what it looked like to me. And they're like pushing against each other. You know what I mean? They're in their fight mode, man. They are in fact gladiators. The tombs have officially been reopened at this point, and Cass is now the star of the show. I don't know if he's like the first guy, but I'm thinking that this would be the perfect opportunity to open it up, get big business, and tell people, hey, not only do we have fights for you guys, but we have a vampire, which I would totally pay to see. I ain't gonna lie to you.
This upcoming Cassidy fight, what did you think of it?
I think that we've touched on this already. I will go into it in more detail, but I don't think, like we've said before, I don't think they're utilizing Cassidy the way that they should.
Dude!
Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating.
If this isn't the time to do it, when I was waiting for him to be hit really hard and be faced away and turn around and him having fangs, then it would be like, oh, snap! But it just didn't happen.
I feel like it's coming. You know what I mean? I almost have no doubt that it's going to come because they're, again, we wait, and then suddenly we get this whole bunch of like source material. But I'm wondering if that when it finally comes, and if it comes this season, it's going to seem like a big contrast to the rest of the season because people are going to ask, why the fuck didn't Cassidy ever do this in the first place?
And the thing is, they allude later on in this episode, you hear him singing, you're like, oh,
that was dope. That was really dope.
That's what I thought was going to happen. And then they're like, nah, never mind. I was like, what? Tell me that was the perfect time.
It would have been the perfect time. It could have been like this awesome crescendo, and it didn't happen. I'm sure they have their reasons, but
for sure.
As I've said with my nitpicking this season, it's all been pretty like minor. This one is a little bit more. It's bugging me more. It is. I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's bugging the shit out of me because Cassidy should be this vicious vampire with this superhuman strength. And I don't understand how he can roll with just normal humans, or how normal humans rather can just roll with him.
I don't. And here's the thing. I would have loved. Now this is okay. I'm not rewriting the show for anybody, but I thought it was going to be a situation of he gets away and Jody's like, why did you send him away? Are you scared that I'm going to kill him? And he starts singing. And then Preacher's like, I wasn't scared for him. And he comes down those stairs and Jody's ready to fight. I'm like, oh, he wasn't scared for him, man. He was scared for you, Jody, because he knows what this guy is capable of doing. But nothing like that happens because Preacher knows what Cassidy can do. And no matter how strong Jody is, how quick is Cassidy making mincemeat of Jody?
Like it's not even an issue.
It's not an issue, no matter how strong Jody is. Like, Cassidy's like, I have fought people bigger, smaller, more people than you. I would make mincemeat out of you. I was fighting before you were born. But I don't know if they're just like, no, it's a little bit too quirky. But I'm like, you just had Satan in full Satan regalia. If that's not in him, Satan being goofy, if that's not showing you what you're doing in your show, I don't know what to tell you. Put Cassidy on the freaking screen. That's all.
Damn it, man. No, you're totally right.
Here's my issue. Like, if you're going to make a vampire on your show, you can't, in my opinion, I love the episode, ladies and gentlemen, but in my opinion, you can't then have a vampire on the show just because you can cut him into pieces and still have him alive. That's not a reason.
Spoilers, Mr. Hudson.
My bad. They're probably watching the show as we're talking. Putting pause. And
boy, that would be a very chaotic watch. Just pausing, listen to us ramble.
Crazy. But other than being shot and recovering, what in the last 4 episodes has Cassidy done that's vampire-y?
I don't know, because he's walking around in the sun. Is what I'm getting at. Sunscreen or no sunscreen, he's walking around in the sun, G. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and all he's doing is drinking blood. And
he drinks blood and heals.
That is a vampire thing?
He drinks blood and he heals.
But then again, they drink consomme. And between blood and consomme, I might pick blood myself.
I'm imagining that's mostly consommé, mostly blood. But yeah, there's definitely other hot doggy parts in there too.
Yes, I'm totally going with that sealed. I would sip blood from that sealed container before whatever the crap they're making.
You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to tell you that this is the thing that's bugging me most this season.
The sun?
No. It's the lack of vampire-like qualities that Cassidy is displaying or not displaying on this. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So
that's true. Because I mean, look. One thing the comic did that was really fun was whenever you forgot Cassidy was a vampire, they'd be like, "Oh, by the way, just in case you forgot, he's a vampire." And you're like, "Oh, that's right. He can kill anybody at any time," and just be like, "Oh, did I miss anything?" And have Preacher sitting there like, "Cassidy, you didn't have to kill everybody in this bar. You know that, right?"
He did kill a chicken last episode too, so that's vampire-like.
Yeah. And then he got caught. But Cassidy would not have gotten caught, G.
Cassidy would have flown off or something.
G. They would have blown off his shoulder, and then he would have just killed them with one hand. That is done. Finished.
They've gone very conservative with it because what is the actual issue? I can't call out the issue, but I mean, think about that one issue. And I know you know the one I'm talking about, where it's just Cassidy falling from a building. He could just jump off the Empire State Building.
Totally.
No big deal.
Yes.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Just get up and keep going.
The first episode shows Cassidy falling out of a plane, landing, somehow putting himself back together and being just fine.
That's right. He fell from a fucking plane.
Yes, after doing some damage up there. And my issue is, look, the first season should not be the last time we see Cassidy going full Cassidy.
Agreed, man.
It shouldn't.
I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, even with the Saint, it was dope that he got his fingers cut off, but it would have even been fun to see a Saint Cassidy fight. Because it wouldn't be just a destruction from the Saint. Cassidy would put up a really, really strong fight.
See, I keep going back to this, I can't even remember where I read it, but it was Joseph Gilgan saying that he gets a lot more fighting in this one. I don't know if that's what he's referring to, because, I mean, technically he has been throwing some blows throughout the season so far, but something's amiss. And I'm hoping that we get this fixed shortly.
And as we go forward, I will have a few more things. Like the Cassidy stuff in this episode was... there's one scene that just broke my heart that Joseph Gilgan killed in. He killed it in this scene.
I know the one you're thinking of.
I mean, I was like, oh no. But his fight scenes, I'm just like, dude, you have Joseph Gilgan that chomps down scenery. You have got to let him go. You have got to let him do his thing. But as we go forward, I'll explain what I'm saying.
So getting back to it, in that scene, since I said it was like something where it was like a seamless time switch, we see the older Jesse step out of the shadows, and he's got that top hat on, he's watching. The next scene that we have has us back in the tombs as Cassidy is still fighting with this dude. I think we might have gone to a commercial just by looking at my notes. But Cassidy's still fighting this dude with the hedge clippers. And the man takes a swipe at Cassidy and cuts through his pants. Something falls. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but Cassidy falls to the ground as well. And the man pounces on him. In the foreground of the shot, in the background, you can see them fighting and struggling. In the foreground, it's focused on the love potion vial, which has fallen from his sliced pocket and is rolled into this little space in the wall where no one can see it. Cassidy's like reaching out for it, but what he's really reaching out for is this axe that's laying near him. As Jody and TC look on with Jesse, he strikes this dude over the head and the guy falls over. Cass crawls over on top of him because he's still a nice Cass in this. And he's like, Christ, are you all right? And he's clearly only doing this because, he's been forced to fight, but he still has a conscience about it. Mm-hmm. At that moment, Jess raises Cass's hand and yells, "Gentlemen, your new champion!" And the crowd roars even more. Jesse tells the crowd that the next show is in an hour and to tell their friends. And the crowd all bounces off and they're like, "Yeah, we'll tell them and we'll be back." At this point, Jody tells Jesse that his friend is going to be a real good prophet for them. And Jesse, I've been saying that lately. Jesse tells him he's not his fucking friend, man. And that he to prove a point, he kicks Cass dead in the skull, right in the face. Mm-hmm. He tells him that if he wants to keep Cass fighting, he's going to have to give him more blood to keep his strength up. TC offers an array of choices of, swamp critter blood. He's like, I got gator blood, I got, coon blood. And he's like, I don't give a shit. He's a vampire, just feed him. He also tells them that they need more beer for the huffers. So they can get drunk, of course, and give him all their cash. Cass is still on the floor at this point, and he has his eye on that love potion that fell from his pocket. He's staring at it, because he wants it, obviously. And this is when TC and Jody leave. Jesse walks over to him and tells him, I told you you were going to hate me. Because he did say, that was the last line he told him at the end of season 2. Cassidy's like, you were right. And Jesse then picks up this machete and raises it to strike. And we hear Cass scream, but we don't see anything. Cass screams out in pain, and the scene changes.
Here's the big thing. For me, when he struck down on Cassidy, obviously I knew that, okay, he's doing something to help. Obviously we all know that he's not going to kill Cassidy. We know that.
Right.
I'm surprised that TC and Jody let him be alone with Cassidy. They don't trust him. Why would they leave him alone with him? That's a very interesting choice.
That is a good point. Like, because he could say whatever he says to them, but they still don't believe him.
Exactly.
But then he's like, this guy's not my friend. And they just
like,
leave.
okay, let's go get him some blood.
We're going to go get some kegs and some smokes.
Exactly, and dip. And I was like, okay, but I like how one thing they're doing for Preacher that they're not doing for Cassidy is they're letting you like Preacher now, this season.
Yes.
They're letting you like Preacher. Now, they're letting you like Cassidy, but I can't say that they are because we haven't seen the real Cassidy yet. When you see him go full vampire and you like him, then you like Cassidy. Right now, we just like a guy who hasn't shown you anything yet.
So we eat chickens.
But we've seen Preacher, and they're making you like him.
And I think that that's an intentional move. I have no proof to this, whatsoever. But I'm thinking that the writers sat down and went, okay, look, we made Jesse just straight hateful. All last season, he was hateful. I think this is his redemption season, because we have to get back on track with this story to keep it moving.
Because remember, Cassidy hates him, but Jesse loves Cassidy.
Yeah, he loves them both.
Regardless of what he's saying, he loves Cassidy. At this point, he hasn't even talked about God anymore.
Yeah.
He just like, we need to get up out of here.
And he proves it often in this episode.
Yes, totally. And
I found it kind of puzzling. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was going to say that on Twitter last night as I'm watching this play out, I really kind of found it. I was surprised that so many people were like, oh, I can't believe he just did that and everything. And I don't know if that's just me being a guy that's read the actual story, 10 plus times, whatever it was. But I was really surprised that people didn't pick up on that. You know what I mean? But I guess maybe the average watcher, and what I mean by that is like just someone that's casually watching the show, just doesn't look into those details where I'm just sitting there trying to figure this all out so we can talk about it the next day. But I was really surprised that people kind of just thought that Jesse had just completely flipped.
Oh, no. Well, and the thing is, the big one is, I think, as you see, especially with the next scene, if they didn't get it then, the scene at the post office should clue you in.
Yeah.
There's no question.
At that point, exactly. You know what's going on.
Yes, you should totally understand that this is, and mind you, I don't think I got to change. Let me amend my statement. Cassidy doesn't hate Jesse. He hates Jesse for the fact that Tulip loves him.
Yes. He hates that Tulip loves him.
That's it.
Yep.
He doesn't hate Jesse. He hates that Tulip loves Jesse. And Jesse doesn't care. Jesse knows that. And Jesse doesn't care because he truly loves Cassidy.
You know what, though, man? If we think about that, I could see that being the case right at first. Like right when season 3 started, because yes, he hated Jesse because he wouldn't allow him to turn her into a vampire, and she ended up dying. Mm-hmm. But if I was Cassidy and I'm lying down and I see Jesse standing above me going, stay down, that would clue me in like, oh, he's trying to save my ass right now.
Totally.
But Cassidy doesn't. Maybe it's the adrenaline or whatever.
He's just mad.
He doesn't see it. I would dare to say that he does hate Jesse.
Oh, no, I don't think I think he hates Tulip loving Jesse. Because that's the only reason the only reason he hates Jesse is for the fact that what happened to Tulip. And the fact that Tulip came out and still loves Jesse, now he hates him. Because he's like, what can this guy do for people to understand he's a douche? Nothing.
This is the prelude to a huge. This is the prelude to a huge fallout. What we're getting up to.
Totally, I mean? It's going to be huge, but I still know I believe from what they've shown me that when it comes down to it, Cassidy is going to put his neck on the line for Jesse.
I have some thoughts on Cassidy over the next few seasons, the next few episodes. I'll get into that.
Because remember, Cassidy. Here's why I know that Cassidy loves Jesse. Here's why. Because when he tried to ship him away, Cassidy, this is going forward a little bit, ladies and gentlemen, but sorry. Cassidy didn't come in and be like, hey, this guy tried to let me loose and set me free. He could have totally done that. He loves Jesse. He doesn't want him to be in trouble. He hasn't told anybody anything about what Jesse has done to help him. Nothing. Because he likes Jesse.
I have a feeling that I'll forget to reply to what you just said right now, but in my opinion, I think he just came back for Tulip. I think that's the only reason he came back.
But he totally could have given him away, though. He tried to let me go.
Yeah, he could have. Maybe he's just not a dick that way, but I think that is, you know what I'm saying?
Likes Jesse.
Maybe so. Maybe. But I think he was just more of like, I got to get in there. We're jumping ahead. I got to get in there. I got to get something, and then I got to get Tulip. That's what I think his mission was on that. But we are way ahead of the story right now.
But you know what? Even if he does hate Jesse, you can't hate somebody that you don't kind of like. Often you don't hate someone that you didn't love at some point.
They've been through a lot in a short amount of time.
There it is. Boom. All right.
Does that cover it? I think that covers it, yeah?
There it is.
All right.
A lot of stuff in a small amount of time makes emotions high.
There you go, sir. It's like summer camp. Everyone's like, you hang out with these kids for a week, and then you like start, what are we going to do after summer? I'll never see you again.
Dude. There's women that I just knew that we're going to get married after a week of music camp. Yes, I said it, music camp. I just knew, the trombone player, though, we're going to hook up.
How'd that go for you, man?
I don't know her name anymore. She was super bad, though.
Young love, though, right? Or what we think is love.
I think when you find someone that's so interested in the intricacies of music or anything you like, you're just like, oh, she's amazing. When she's telling me a B flat scale, I'm just like, you need to be my wife.
That's the qualification. There it is, ladies. Send in your B flat scales. Just voicemail them in to askwithewordpodcast@gmail.com. Let's hear them B flat scales, ladies and gents. Auditioning. Let's find Steve a wife. Here it is. Hashtag find Steve a wife. B flat.
Let me tell you something. That's the sort of awesome witticisms that you will find at the Word Twitter page. Because, I mean, this dude is on at all times.
I am. It's kind of sad. Sorry about that. But I'm hoping you're digging it, folks.
Of course they are. You got mad replies.
I'm not going to dwell on that, Steve. I'm just going to keep on moving forward here. We have a show to do. But thank you very much, man. I appreciate the compliment.
No problem.
Let's see.
Get Steve married, hashtag.
All right. So, guys, let's move along. We're now at another part of Louisiana, ladies and gentlemen, and the camera is focused up on the street light, which tells me I don't know where the hell we are, but we're on a street somewhere. And we see that as it pans, we see it's a big, long road, and we see Tulip's car speeding up. She takes a sharp right. Tulip looks back, and she sees that two cars that were possibly tailing her have not bothered to follow her at this point, so she keeps on driving. Madam Boyd, I should say, tells Tulip that she likes her nails. She's making conversation with her because, ladies like to talk. And Tulip tells her the less that she talks, the better. Boyd tells her that if she's trying to get to Angelville, she's gone the wrong way. As the road doesn't go that way. I don't think that she's believing her, though, because why would she? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Tulip's always on the defense. Boyd continues on, and she tells her that she meant what she said, that she was not going to help Jesse. She wouldn't bother to break the spell no matter what. And Tulip tells her, she's pretty sure that she's going to do whatever the hell she tells her to do once she gets to Angelville. She asks Boyd what she has against Jesse in the first place and why she hates him so much. And this is where Boyd tells her that Jesse Langell is, quote, the worst person she has ever loved. We get this flashback right after that, and we see young Jesse, who's now with who we assume is going to be young Madam Boyd, in this apartment. Real pretty girl. And she's talking with her brother, who I believe his name is Kenny. So Kenny's telling this story about, I assume it's in New Orleans in like Mardi Gras or something like that. He steps to this pirate who accused his sister of being a thief. And when Kenny tries to, throw down with them, the guy unscrews his peg leg because he's got a real peg leg. That's why he's dressed like a pirate. It's very convenient that way, folks. And he ends up turning his back for a second. Kenny steals the thing and he runs off. And the guy hops down the street. It's a humorous story, but he tells it better than I do. He tells it much better. Boyd tells her brother that she's like they have a very good communication amongst the siblings, Steve. And she tells him, hey, look, we're gonna fool around, so you need to get to stepping. Let me ask you something. If you were talking, okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Not a freaking chance.
I'd be like, I'm just going to sit down right here for a little while and let's.
You dang Skippy, bro. You got to dip.
Or I'm just going to watch Netflix and not leave you guys alone.
No, heck no. You ain't. No.
Well, that's what happened, Steve. I didn't write this, but she tells him to get to stepping so he can go round up some business. So he puts on a sandwich sign. Those are very uncommon these days. I'm used to seeing sign flippers. But I like the old school sandwich sign thing. And as he's walking out the door, he pokes back in and tells Jesse good luck. So again, this is not something that you would subscribe to, I'm assuming.
No, and it just means that he has faith in his sister, saying, "Hey, look, she's no joke. Have fun."
That's a little creepy, though.
It is very creepy.
He knows something that he shouldn't.
Ugh.
So Jesse and Madam Boyd, or the young Madam Boyd, I should say, start to make out. Jesse seems a little bit apprehensive about the whole thing, and Boyd kind of calls him out on it. She drops the suggestion that maybe he's still stuck on, quote unquote, that girl back in Texas. Jesse confirms that she's referring to Tulip, and he absolutely denies it. And she tells him, all right then, cool, game on, go ahead and get undressed. But Jesse asks, what if Kenny gets a customer? And she tells him that there are no customers because his grandma took them all. She leaves to go get, freshened up and undressed, and she's talking to Jesse from the other room, and she's telling him that even though business isn't as great at that moment as it should be, she will eventually beat that old witch at her own game, and she plans on being quite successful. But while this is going on, Steve, Jesse's going back, and he's having these flashbacks in his head because Jesse Custer does this a lot. And he's just going over what TC had told him that if Grandma found out, what would happen to her. And this causes him to switch his game up completely. So when Madam Boyd returns, she finds Jesse actually getting dressed as opposed to undressed, and she's like, what's wrong? He came at her kind of mean right here. And again, he tells it better than I do. So why not? I'm going to go ahead and throw in an audio clip right here. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is the young Jesse being a dick.
What?
Change my mind.
What?
Look, you're pretty, Sabina. It's been fun making out with you. But I'm alone in jail. Heir to Angelville. In the end, you're just a Boyd. And I'm not gonna screw that up over a few sloppy kisses from a piece of trash like you. Get it? Got it?
All right, we're back. So Jesse tells her, get it, got it, good. And she screams like a banshee. And this is where we get the worst person she ever loved flashes across the screen. We've now fast forward to the present, and we have Tulip and Madam Boyd, and they're driving again. And Tulip asks, that's the worst person you ever loved? Please. Boyd tells her, you haven't heard the rest of my story. Tulip tells her, I got a story for you. I drive, you shut up, the end. What do you think? And Boyd replies, mine's better. She's always doing her Tulip thing.
Boyd
dude.
ain't no joke.
No,
Boyd ain't no joke.
Neither one of these women in this car are jokes.
I love that they're doing this. And I love that they have two women of color who are super strong and don't back down. Like, she's like, da 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 da. And Boyd is like, what you're going to do is listen. And she's not worried that there's a gun in the car. Boyd's like, you're not going to shoot me.
Yeah, she never slips out of character. She's just always cool.
There's a part where coming up where she should have been out of character. And she's still cool as a
She was totally cool. I know the part you're talking about.
Wait, what? I was like, oh, let me tell you something. There is a reason that this show is making you see how, okay, we can now say that Jesse has a type.
I was just going to say that. Jesse definitely has a type.
And if this woman runs into Jesse again, is it going to be a for real triangle?
I don't think so. I think that it's going to be one of those things where she just ends up going, okay, I'm going to drop a Steve on you and just be like, oh, you silly goose, you got me, but go on about your business.
You think so?
Yes, I do. I don't think that it's going to end up. I think that we need to move away from this love triangle to begin with. Why get out of one love triangle to do another love triangle? You know what I mean?
Because they already kind of had one with Featherstone.
Kinda. Like it was going there, but it never came to fruition.
I think he's going to kiss her like goodbye or something. Like they're going to have a kiss of some sort. I'm calling it. Boyd is going to kiss Jesse. You're saying no way.
Tulip's just going to give him the eye, you think? Or he's going to do it when she's not there?
Yes, and Tulip's going to somehow come around the corner. Because they are so, even though way different, they have a commonality.
It would be sort of apropos for how they're running the show. You know what I mean? I would not be surprised if they ended up putting that scene in.
And I love how, okay, the only way to get respect from Tulip is to do what Boyd's doing. That's it. Otherwise, Tulip's not going to respect you. She doesn't respect Cassidy.
She doesn't respect weakness.
Exactly. And I think if Cassidy would have vamped out, I think maybe Tulip is digging him a little more. Because remember, she almost fell for him when he saved her from the Saint. She's like, you weren't there, Cassidy was. She likes that thing. But I don't know if she digs the whole softy thing. I don't think so.
It's not her type.
And it's not her thing. And so Boyd coming at her like, I'm not scared of you, is going to make Tulip respect her. For sure.
Makes sense to me. I can't argue that. It really seems like that could be something that they completely go with.
Yep.
But we'll see. The next scene, we have Jody and Jesse, and they're driving down the road, and Jody tells Jesse how he's going to destroy his friend tonight. And Jesse says, "You keep calling him my friend." Jody asks, "If he's not your friend, what is he?" And Jesse says, "He's a cheating, drug-addicted piece of shit Irish vampire whose only good quality is that he hurts. You can chop him up into little pieces, give him a few drops of blood, and do all over again the next night, and the next, and the next. The money just keeps rolling in." Jody smiles at this, of course, because he's Jody. You know, he's amused by it.
Of course, he likes it. Yeah.
He puts a cigarette in his mouth, Steve. Now, we're coming up on something real important here. Puts a cigarette in his mouth, and he lights it. And what's he lighting it with? We finally have got it. The fuck communism lighter has arrived. Yep. It's here. Mm-hmm. So this catches Jesse's attention, and I'm not going to gloss over this, by the way. I'm just doing the scene. Jesse, he notices this, and when he finishes lighting his lighter, he puts it's a Zippo is what it is. He puts it on the dash, and he says, "Just like old times, right, kid?" So now I think we need to pause for discussion because, again, we have source material happening here, and this is what people have been wanting to see. Much like the Hell scene, they wanted this scene, this lighter in the show. So we now have the lighter in the show. I wanted to know your thoughts on this. What did you think of this?
I loved it because we know that that's his dad's lighter. And there's no way that Jody didn't want him to see that.
You know, it's kind of like a Walking Dead when Negan goes up to one of the dude's wives that used to be his wife. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Negan will be like, Negan will tell one of his soldiers, "You are the most important thing in the world to me, and you are the best thing ever." And then he's like, he'll tell a woman that used to be that person's wife, be like, "Get this man a drink." He'd be like, "Oh, just to let you still know, though. Just calm down with your I feel high on myself, though. Just to let you know who's still in charge." They're having a little moment. And he's like, "Let me take this lighter," of which he could have chosen how many lighters that he wanted to use, possibly. He probably has another lighter. He's like,
I mean, if he values the lighter, he should probably just be using like a Bic disposable, right? But no, he's carrying this with him because he wants to show Jesse.
Totally, dude. And he puts it right back on the thing so he can see it. And Jesse does see it. And I think this is going to be the thing. I think they're going to use this thing as the ultimate showdown between him and Jody.
Give me back my goddamn lighter. Yeah, I could see something like that. Well, yes. Or has he already taken it?
No. He's going to have to fight Jody.
Actually, no, he's not, sir. And I'll get to that in a little bit.
You don't think he's going to have to...
Well, there may be a fight that actually happens, but I think we're going to find out that he's already got the lighter.
Let's do it.
Let's do this. So they roll up to this store, and it's called No Bottles, No Cans, Just Kegs. And Jesse cracks a joke. "You sure they can sell kegs?" See, even under all this stress, he's still cracking jokes, Steve. Jody replies, "Funny," and they exit the truck. Jesse turns when he steps outside, and he sees that there's like this mailing annex / convenience store / frozen yogurt place that's across the street. And he gets an idea. You could have just heard the ding in his ears, but you didn't. He asked Jody if he wants a frozen yogurt. Everyone enjoys one. I've had one the other day, Stephen. They're refreshing. It was lovely. And Jody tells him swirl. He heads into the keg store, and this is where Jesse, goes over to the other store. He walks up to the counter with 2 of the said swirls, and this is where he tells the clerk. He tells him that he wants to mail something. He'll take the yogurts, and he also wants to mail something. The clerk tells him, "No weapons, guns, drugs, or hazardous liquids," and Jesse kind of smiles and says, "No guns," meaning that everything else is in there, because when you think about it, Cass is pretty much all of those things rolled up into one person. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah, the clerk shows him where the mailing supplies are, and he tells him, "Don't bogart all my packaging peanuts, and to ring the bell when you're done." We then get this inferior shot, meaning coming from below, of the packing peanuts. Sorry, I mean, I'm sure you guys know what inferior is, but I just did that anyway. And it's the packing peanuts, and they're falling into this box. They're falling not only into this box, but they're falling onto one of the many pieces of Cassidy that are in this box. And this is, again, another opportunity for an audio clip because I did like the conversation they were having back and forth. Here we go. This is Jesse and Cassidy having this conversation while Cassidy's in good 10 pieces or so in this box. Here we go.
Not sure if your limbs growing out connect back together or what. But I figured it'd be safe and sorry.
You forgot my hand.
Sorry, I needed that.
So that's how you finally get rid of me, is it? Huh? By bloody mail.
I'm not getting rid of you, Cass. Saving your ass. Only way to get you out of there.
The only way. I can think of 20 different ways that wouldn't involve chopping off a bloody limb. Like a diversion or something like that. Or Cape Fear. You could have strapped me under a truck. Or obviously there's the skin suit way.
Skin suit way?
You remove somebody else's skin, you wrap me in it, disguising me as that person. Do you know what I mean?
That's the stupidest. That would never work.
Of course it would.
Not in a million years.
Will you go and tell that to Luke Skywalker? He slit that Tauntaun creature open, and it snuck him off without a bloody scratch.
You didn't sneak him up anywhere. The Tauntaun kept him from freezing.
Saving me. Give me a bloody break, will you?
If it wasn't for me, Jody and TC would have strung you up to burn.
Oh, that's right. Jesse Custer, everybody. A bloody hero strolling through the tombs like a demented circus worker of some kind.
I haven't got time for this shit.
You're an evil bastard is what you are. Then I see it now. I see it clear as day. And Tulip will see it too. She'll open up her eyes.
Hey, shut up about her.
You're not but an evil bastard. I hate your face. Ow, right in the dick.
You're welcome, asshole.
So we know now that Jesse is planning to mail Cass. I don't really know, and I still don't, even after what I say. He's planning to mail him off. And as you heard, Cassidy's not having it, but there's really not a lot he can do about it. Jesse slaps some tape on the box, and then he slaps a mailing address on the box. And it was specific. I actually went and did something to see if this was, in fact, where he's going, but I was wrong. The mailing package is addressed to 3927 South Ann Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70119. It was so specific that I just got online and actually looked to see if what it was. Was it something in New Orleans maybe that, it's like an Easter egg is really what I was getting at. And I couldn't find anything. The other thing that I did was I went back to the last episode because I'm a psychopath, Steve, and I looked on the business card of the grill.
Yes.
And I couldn't make it out. So I don't think that's the case. So my question to you, sir, is what are we foreshadowing here? Where do you think this address is? Where is he trying to send him to?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was their old apartment or their old place that they used to stay at.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, I guess that's possible. They never really said where it is, but it's driving me kind of crazy. I have a feeling it's going to come back, and because it always does, and we'll find out. But I was thinking, is he sending him off to I didn't know where he was sending him. I thought maybe the Grail. I thought maybe he was sending him off to some other vampires, but but we don't know that yet. He does not know that yet. He's not aware of the other vampires, so that can't be the case either. So I guess we'll find out as we move along. I think about shit way too much, ladies and gentlemen.
So what was the Luke Skywalker thing? I didn't understand it.
So he's referring to Empire Strikes Back, and at the beginning of the movie, Luke gets beat. He gets almost killed by this big snow creature, and he's left out, and they do this big search party, and Han comes looking for him. So when Han finds him, the beast that he'd been riding on is called a Tauntaun.
Oh, he
so he cut
and lays
and puts him in there, but Cass had it twisted that was some kind of escape thing, and it's like Tom's like, that's not how it happened.
What is wrong with Cassidy?
I don't know, but it's so right. You know what I mean? Everything that's wrong with him is right.
It is almost correct.
Almost.
It's a skin suit, but in his brain he's like, oh, that's what you should. Instead of thinking, why wouldn't you go Silence of the Lambs?
That's
better. I mean, why not go that instead of something totally off?
For someone that quotes so many movies, you would think that he would have gone straight there.
I mean, it made me laugh because I could only imagine how wrong he was with whatever thing he was talking about. But I was like, let me ask Dan tomorrow because I didn't know what he was saying.
Yeah, just a little mistake of them. The movie came out a long time ago, Steve, so he just got it twisted.
A skin suit. And I love how he had a bunch of ideas, and the only one that Jesse questioned was like, what the crap is a skin suit? That was the one that he was like, what?
I don't even know if he really questioned it. He was just arguing with him. Did he question him? No, he did, huh?
Yeah, because all the rest, he's like, we could have done this, could have done that, and Jesse's like, whatever. He's like, or we could have done the skin suit, and Jesse was like, wait, what? It's a skin suit.
Of all things to shock a man,
Exactly.
Particularly this man.
So good.
Back in Tulip's car, they arrive at a stoplight, and there's this little quiet, uncomfortable pause. Madam Boyd tells Tulip, you're so lost. The light turns green, and they start to drive on, and Tulip tells her, so a little boy was mean to you and broke your little girl heart. And 20 years later, and you still want him dead? Yeah, I'm lost. And I was like, oh, snap. Madam Boyd tells Tulip that she didn't even let her finish, and that Jesse didn't just break her heart, but he broke it twice. And then we get this flashback of what seems to be Madam Boyd's interpretation. Here we go. Audio clip number 3 or 4 or some shit like that.
Who dares to face I'll fight. I'll fight you, Lungel. You think you're better than us? You think you can call my sister trash?
No, you're right. I shouldn't have said that. Comparing a Boyd to trash is an insult. To trash? Why don't you just run along? Please.
Okay, we're back, and we're also back in the present, and this is where Tulip slams on the brakes, and she tells him, that's a goddamn lie. Boyd tells her that it's true, and that this place brings out the worst in him. Tulip actually gets out of the vehicle. She goes around to the passenger side, puts a gun to her head, and tells her to get out.
You know what's funny, though, about the previous scene is everything that that Boyd said about Jesse, Tulip believed. Until something that was out of Jesse's character. And she knew that's not true.
Well, she knows him, man. That's why she loves him, right?
She knows him. And that's what gives her the edge over Boyd.
More importantly, she knows him as an adult.
Yes.
And she's not like recycling memories from, one of the most emotional times in your life when you're a teenager.
No, she knows that is not Jesse. Tulip was like, nope. Even if he did kill him, that's not how he's going to say anything. And real quick, also to travel backwards, what was the alternate plan of having Cassidy's parts in the back of a truck? What was his other possible thing if they didn't stop at the end?
I don't know. I was wondering the same thing. Like, he's just like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just put him in here, and maybe we'll get rid of him. Maybe I'll run across a postal annex. I don't know.
Maybe. Exactly. I'm like, what was your alternate plan then? Unless he knew that that's where they were going.
That's what it had to have been. He knew they had to go to the keg to get kegs. And he must know the geography of the town and knowing that there's a postal annex across the street. Perfect. That's the only thing I can think of. Again, I think we're overthinking it, but I get you. I do that shit all the time.
That's what we're supposed to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Mind you, I'm worse because I'm not worse than you, but I do I rewound the Satan scene about 5 times.
Yeah, it makes sense. But that's what we do. We try to find those things and we have to discuss them. That's what these people are listening to us for.
So good. Anyway, go on.
I'm happy that you're happy with the show, dude.
Jeez, he was good, man. I mean, I think they call it Kismet. Jeez, what a great... Anyway.
Gonzilla, baby.
Come on, man. Come on, dude.
That was a Satan I could chill with. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
For sure. I mean, it's so funny. Anyway, go ahead.
So like I said, we're back at that mailing annex, and that stoner clerk is, he's doing something. He's got headphones on. I think he might have been playing a video game or something, but he stomps out of frustration. And when he stomps, he notices that there's this trail of blood starting at his feet or ending at his feet and going all the way up to that box. And he says the only thing that they would, like an extra would say in a preacher show, which is basically, I said no liquids. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We're back at the tombs again, and we see Jesse leaning up against this wall. And this is what I was getting at. So he lights his smoke. And now we see that he has the Zippo. So he must have, so he must, well, again, like you, I watched this part like 3-4 times, but he must have stolen it off of Jody's dash. I think that we're going to come back to this because Jody's definitely not going to just be like, oh, where's my lighter? He's going to know exactly who took it, right? Totally. So we haven't seen this is just the beginning of the lighter thing. Jody's like warming up in the corner and, because he's getting ready to fight. And TC comes in to tell him that Cass is gone and set himself free. He's holding a hand and he's like, he chewed himself free. So Jody tells him to go find him. And he looks at Jesse like Jesse might know something, but Jesse just tosses the smoke, doesn't pay him any attention, and he just walks off into the crowd with his top hat. So he enters the fighting arena, and he looks down, does a little dramatic pause, and then he does like this fancy shit with his hat where he's like flipping it back and forth. He puts it on one last time, he looks up, and he says, welcome, you motherless goat humpers, because that's the old school thing that you say, and the crowd just roars with delight. Like, hey, he's back, look at him, he's so adorable now, even though he's old. I don't think any of them said that because they're all huff and paint, by the way, and none of them were effeminate.
For sure.
Just saying. But Jesse gets he gets a little bit wordy. And to me, I just didn't really feel like writing this all out. So again, I hope you guys don't mind that I'm doing extra audio clips this week, but I'm going to do one more because Jesse goes off on this whole spiel. And I'm going to go ahead and play that now.
Three announcements. First, to the owner of a blue Toyota Corolla, I don't know why you have an alarm, but it is going off. The second is God has left heaven. I don't know where he's gone. Not yet anyway, but I heard from a friend of mine a theory on the why. He is testing us. I have no idea what this test might be. But if the subject is, can human beings be anything other than a bunch of greedy, violent assholes, then we're in big trouble. But if I find out that God just took off, threw up his hands in disgust, and called it a day, then I'm gonna be real pissed off. And then I look around at all you hooting and hollering and getting high from all the suffering to come, suffering which you have paid for, and it is no wonder God has quit on us!
What was the third thing?
Third thing is you better find another way to gamble with your souls. There is no fight. The tombs are closed. Get out!
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling.
He's a vampire!
From glen to glen and down the mountain.
I'll take first crack at it.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling. That seems terrifying to me. You know what I mean? I don't know what it was. It was terrifying.
It wouldn't seem terrifying to me if I didn't know he was a vampire.
I just think that if anyone was like slowly walking downstairs with a weapon in hand, covered in blood, singing "Oh, Danny Boy," I'm out. I'm not even trying to play around because I would think that he would be coming for me. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I'll make it even crazier. Anyone that's voluntarily walking into a tomb of death,
singing,
that's enough for me. He don't have to be carrying anything. He walked down here to have fun. I'm like,
he's instantly the scariest guy in the room.
No question. And the thing is, the reason that, because we have to assume that Jesse didn't want Jody fighting Cassidy.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, because it would kind of be a means to an end.
Exactly.
I don't know.
They're not letting freaking Cassidy be Cassidy.
However, Steve, we are dealing with a different strength Jody. So maybe there's more to Jody than we have been shown. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? And also, Jesse has not seen Cassidy go full Cassidy. So he might be worried about Cassidy. He hasn't seen...
That's true. The only times Cassidy has gone full Cassidy, as you're calling it, would be the airplane scene, season 1.
Uh-huh.
The chainsaw scene in season 1.
Yes.
And...
That's it.
That's it, huh? I think you're right. I think that's it as far as going just full on vamp.
And he didn't go full on vamp.
Well, he fought him pretty well. He fought two angels.
He fought him well.
He fought them well, and Jesse was unconscious for that. So he wouldn't have noticed it anyway.
I got to posit this theory, and we have to digest this.
Let's do it.
What if this is Cassidy for them? What if this is it? Maybe there is no. This is Cassidy, in their opinion.
You mean there as far as the makers of the show?
Yes.
I don't think so. I really don't.
No.
I don't think so, because why would they have him go so aggressive at the very beginning in the plane? And then, and then in the church scene, he's clearly displaying strength that he hasn't been exhibiting since then. I think they're saving it up for this big pow at the end or something.
You think so?
Yeah, I hope so. I fucking hope so, because it's like, I know we've gone over this a couple of times already, but it's frustrating, and I think that they're doing this for a reason. But to answer your question, yeah, I think that, there must be something to Jody. That's all I can think of, because I don't know why, because in my opinion, I'd be like, go ahead, have Adam Cass, kill him.
Exactly.
Kill everyone in the room, for that matter. They're all a bunch of terrible degenerates,
But here's another possibility. He does think he needs Grandma's help. Killing Jody is not a great start to that.
At this point, does he think that? I think he just wants to get the hell out of there. I think that he does. He feels stuck, like he can't.
Exactly. And Jody's being dead, what would Grandma do about that?
It's not going to help his situation. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
so
that must be it.
That's what's going on. And so he's just like, I need you guys to, because truthfully, he's trying to help Cassidy leave town so that I can handle this by myself without pulling anyone up in this situation. And I'm giving the writers the benefit of the doubt that that's what they're thinking.
That's a good guess.
They earned it in four episodes. They have earned my, let's see where they're going with this.
They've definitely earned the benefit of the doubt.
Yes. So I'm very, but it was cool that you could tell during this fight, Cassidy wasn't doing his thing. Even for a Cassidy, he wasn't doing his thing. He wanted to put a little something on him though. He'd be like, I'll give you some bruises, but I'm not going to do this to you, man. I won't. You know, he just sold it really, really well. He sold the beating well. He's like, whatever. Okay. I just need my vial. That's it. That's the only reason I came down here was for my vial.
That's the only reason he went back, I'm telling you.
The only reason, which made me worried. I'm like, oh, Cassidy, especially after this email, don't do this.
Don't piss Emmy off, Cassidy.
Yes. I mean, don't do
Just kidding, Emmy. I'm just messing with you.
But did you like the fight, or did you think the scene was just like, whatever?
I'll be honest with you. I thought it was all right. Like, I think that it was subpar.
Yes.
It could have been so much better, but I'm just really hoping, like we said, that we're giving them the benefit of the doubt, and that there's going to be like a big payoff at the end, you know, or sooner down the road.
Now there was, as we go forward, you know, Tulip does come through. I loved seeing her face because I'm sorry, she's driving and she sees someone run out. I don't know if he sets his alarm and runs back in, or he gets something out of the car and runs back in. But Tulip's like, what the crap is going on over there?
Yeah, and I'm going to get to that in a sec.
Yeah, go for it.
So we're back on the road, and you know, Tulip slows her car down. She actually to a stop, and just for a quick moment, she puts her head down. She's also by herself, by the way, because she did tell Madam Boyd to get out. She's in the car by herself. She puts her head down, and then we hear like this speeding bike coming by her, and it goes into slow motion for just a second, and then we see that the God dog, I should say, is driving by her very slowly. It was kind of weird. Couldn't really make out his face, but I mean, how many Dalmatians on bikes are there going to be, right?
That was the creepiest scene.
It was a little creepy, man, but you got that thing with
looking in real quick.
Humanoid animals are not your thing.
I don't like this. Yeah, I don't like that at all. And how he was just looking in all creepily, slow motion. I'm like, I don't like this.
I assumed that he was just going by super fast, but because he's God, he just was able to like slow it down without her noticing.
Totally. Great scene.
Effective, that's for sure. So then when Tulip looks up, he's already gone. He's been driving for a while. And we cut scenes again, and the battle is still raging on between Jesse and Cass. They're attacking each other. Cass has a wooden club or something like that, or possibly it's some kind of wooden club object that's taped to his bloody stump. And Jesse has what I think is a crowbar. He takes Cassie down hard. He hits him, and Cassie goes down. He whispers, "Stay down." Outside, this is where you're talking about. Tulip then pulls up into this parking lot that's full of cars. And there's that one guy that Jesse had told him in his initial announcement that someone had left their alarm on. He's like, I don't know why, but you have your alarms going off. And she sees that guy go and turn his alarm off. And that's pretty much that part of the scene. But back inside, we now know why Cass has returned, because it's now confirmed, Steve. We see the love potion bottle still hidden away in that little cubby hole or whatever that is, the hole in the wall. So Jesse and Cass continue to fight. Jesse eventually takes a bat and breaks it over Cass's body. And this leaves him basically a sharp, stake-like object to finish the job with. He goes over to Cass, and he tells him once again to stay down. And he looks up, and this is where he sees Tulip has now entered the tombs. And she's staring at him through the crowd, giving him that stare that only men that are in relationships know. Mm-hmm. Tulip starts to make her way to them, and through the crowd. Jesse has like this slightly bothered look on his face because I took this that she's getting too close now. She's now in the tombs. This is going to cause more trouble for him, but mostly for her.
Totally.
He takes a very unorthodox approach, and he does a pretty good job of getting their attention away. So he tells Cass, he says, "I said stay down." Cass is trying to get up. He plunges the stake into Cass, and that makes him fall to the ground. He then puts on what I think, and I know this is just a complete front. We've been talking about it all episode.
Totally.
It's a total front. He goes into that ring announcer monologue again that he's been doing. And this time he's addressing Tulip. And I went ahead and included an audio clip on this one too. I think this might be the last one. We may have one more. But here is the audio clip of Jesse basically talking to the crowd, but essentially he's just talking straight to Tulip. Here we go.
Who needs God? The tombs are back in
If you don't like it, you can go, both of you. Get it? Got it. Good.
A complete front, right? You would agree we're both on the same page with that?
Same thing that you said to Boyd.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's his line. Jesse is now proven to be the good guy in the episode. He's redeeming himself, but he's doing it in this weird way where not everyone is getting the picture yet, I guess.
Yes. Well, and the thing is, he could have killed Cassidy. He didn't.
No, he didn't.
I mean, this is clearly him up to something because he's like, oh, I totally could have killed him.
Right.
Which kind of clues Tulip into, oh, you're not who you say you are.
Exactly.
That Jesse would have just killed this dude. That Jesse.
She's totally going to call him out on this in just a little bit. This very next shot that we see, Tulip is now back in the Tombs parking lot or the Angelville parking lot. And she sees this cloaked figure or this like hooded figure, what have you, staggering towards her. He falls out of sight right by her car door. And when he rises, we see that now I took this to be that guy Hal, the pedophile teacher. I'm not sure if that was him or not because there was another guy that kind of looked like him. But I'm going with that it's the pedophile teacher. But he doesn't look quite right. It looks a little loose, you know what I'm saying, Steve? And
like dude from Men in Black, yeah.
A little bit, yeah, like the Roach guy, yeah, very much like that. Tulip calmly asks him, because she's Tulip, hey, what took you so long? So apparently they were working this plan out. Cass responds, I couldn't see, the forehead kept slipping. He then pulls the skin suit, which is mostly a mask, away, and he says, skin suit, still the best way to break a mate free. He's not wrong.
Stupid.
He's not wrong.
So dumb.
But he proved his point, man. Because he was telling Jesse in the first place. Jesse didn't buy it, but he proved his point. He could have just gone with the skin suit.
That would only work coming out of a brutal fight. Otherwise, people would be like, what the crap's up with Homeboy?
Why is my man loose? He must have lost.
Exactly.
He must be on one of those gastric bypass plans.
There we go.
I hate when I try to crack a joke and my lips don't work. But anyway, I'll move along. So Cass and Tulip are now together. And we are led to believe that they've left Jesse in the Tombs and fuck him and we're not going back. And I believe that's what Cass thought too. They're driving down the road and they have this little talk that really needed to happen for a while. And, Cass gives her a few options about where they could go. I mean, everything from, I can't remember where he was saying, but one of them was even like Boise, Idaho or something. Like he just wants to get away is what he's getting.
Yes.
He wants to be with
her.
Exactly, with her.
Yes.
And at that point, Tulip just stops the car and Cass looks out to his right and he sees that there's this parked bus with passengers, loading onto it. And he says, or we could stop here. They have a little emotional moment. And again, this is, I believe, this is the last audio clip. And I thought I would play this for y'all. Here we go. This is Tulip and Cassidy having some finality to their current situation. Here we go.
Why?
You can't stay here, Cass. It's not safe.
You can. You can stay here in this place with him. After everything he's done. I'm not leaving without you, Chuma.
You have to.
I won't do it. I love you.
But I don't love you.
Say one last thing. We should have gone up Bimini.
So I just want to point out that I guess Cass didn't really believe that his plan would work in the first place because maybe he just finally realized once she said it to him, whether he believed it or not, oh, she's not going to come with me. Like she's clearly down for Jesse. He had the little love potion in his hand, but he chose to put it away. And he says, well, we should have just, he said, can I say one more thing to you? And he puts it away. Should have gone to Bimini. So I'm wondering now, because Cass gets onto the bus, and I'll just play this last little part out. Cass gets onto the bus, And we see that he's not really alone. He's got a lot of people in the bus, first of all. But the camera pans over, and who do we see just a few rows back from him? But Featherstone's on the bus as well.
Your friend.
My friend. The bus takes off, and, they're on their way. They were just in New Orleans. I don't know where they're going to. No, I'm sorry. They were taking off from Angelville to New Orleans. That's what it was. Do you think this is a good sign that the love triangle phase has ended? Because, I think that they really need to get away from this and continue on with the story. We still have to get to all the Icaria stuff. We have to get to the Allfather. We're going to see, I almost said Dumbledore. Holy moly. What the hell is that? Oh, tell me his name. I just blanked. I'm so sorry, guys. Humperdew. I said Dumbledore. But anyway, yeah, we still have to get to Humperdew. So do you think that this is where Preacher, as in the show, puts the brakes on the love triangle?
I think so. If we are to believe the previews, especially, I think that he wants love and he's going to be looking for love. I don't think anyone's ever going to. There is no other Tulip.
He's going to do it in all the wrong places, Steve.
That's what I hear.
I had to.
I think there's no other Tulip. That's just life. He's not going to find another, unless he dates Boyd, which he's not going to do. There's not another Tulip around. And so he's going to be looking for something that's never going to fill that hole in his heart. So it's going to lead him right back to the two of them, in my opinion. But I think this love triangle is effectively over. That love triangle. I think there's another one coming.
If I was Jesse, I would definitely go with Tula. But if he didn't, he ain't falling back on too bad of a situation. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no. And here's the heartbreaking. I think the most heartbreaking part of that conversation in the car is two of them. Number one was, but why?
Yeah. Oh.
It's like, geez, that was heartbreaking.
Hey, I wanted to ask you had mentioned earlier in the show that there was a part where Gilgan knocks it out of the park. I assumed that's what it was. Yeah, he was great.
One. Yeah, he's just like, but why though? And it's a great question. What redeeming factors does this guy have? And what is going on is Tulip is in love with the man that he was. I don't know if she's in love with the man he is, though. I don't know.
If you ask me, go ahead and ask me, and then I'll say it. Say, what do you think, Dan?
What do you think, Dan?
I'm glad you asked. What I was going to say is I think that scene in the tombs was definitive for her. I think that's when she went, I know what this dude's doing. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what made her make her decision. Like, I see where Jesse's going with this now. He is still there. I love this man. That's what I think.
Probably. And I think the second part in the car that hurt me was we should have went to Bimini because there was so much in that comment. He's like, I just should have taken her when I had her.
He had a chance.
I should have done it then. And I didn't. And I think that's going to haunt him. I hope it doesn't lead him to be making like a bunch of spur of the moment decisions saying, hey, I don't want to do this again. But it sucks because who knows now what's going to happen with him and Featherstone? What is Featherstone? Why is she following him?
Maybe he's going to hook up with her.
Oh, here's the question. What if she just happens to be on that bus?
She is on the bus.
I know, but what if she just happens to be?
Oh, I don't think that's the case at all.
Well, then why wouldn't she just follow Jesse then?
I think we're going to find this out next week, but I don't, because I do see like in the, I made a point to not watch the trailer for next week too closely. There was one key thing that I noticed, but I do notice that, she's now in disguises again. I feel like this is just all part of the Grail plan. There is a reason that will come to light as to why she followed him. Maybe she's going to try and get to him. You know what I mean? Or maybe just to keep tabs on him while the Grail's watching over Jesse
because what she does know is following Jesse leads nowhere.
Right.
Jesse will never give her what she wants, period.
And I think this might be the way that if the story plays out like it does in the book, she might be the link of Cassidy finding out where he is, where he's kept, basically.
Yes.
And that's how Cassidy's going to get back and, everything.
Totally.
Everything goes hunky-dory. That's just my guess, but who knows, man? We'll see.
I agree.
We're almost done here, guys. Back at the plantation, Tulip goes and confronts Jesse. Very much on the subject of what we're talking about. And even though this isn't from the book, I really feel like this is definitely... It felt to me like this could have been pulled from the book. It was the dynamics because, like I was going to say, I actually forgot to say it when we were talking right now, but we can't forget that in the book, their love is so strong and so intense that they have, and I think that they play to that on this show when they embrace You know what I mean? Anytime that they embrace and they go make love, that is in fact how they were. They would spend days in the hotel screwing the entire time, knocking over, breaking everything. And I think that this is very much a nod to that, you know?
Totally.
But Tulip calls Jesse out, you know, for being fake. Fake mean, I believe is what she said to Cassidy, just to protect him, just like he was protecting Madam Boyd. She knows the whole deal now. And again, I think that's why she put 2 and 2 together, talking with Madam Boyd and then seeing him in the tombs. I think this is why her mindset flipped. But just my guess. She tells him, you know, just like you've been protecting Madam Boyd. Jesse asks, how do you know Sabina? She tells him that it doesn't matter. But what does matter is that she doesn't need protecting. She's not the kind of woman that needs that kind of thing. What she needs is a goddamn boyfriend that levels with her. And she says that she's tired of doubting him and really tired of him not trusting her with shit. That's her words.
Yes.
Tulip asks Jesse 2 things. The first one being, does he really want them to be good again? And the second thing being, you know, what really happened to Kenny that night? And this is where we get a flashback. I'm assuming that every time they're doing the flashback, Jesse or whoever is telling the story, in this case it's Jesse, and we get this flashback. And it's pretty much the same as the original fight that we saw before, only this time we see it from Jesse's perspective. What we do see is that Jesse is the one that's getting strangled, asking Kenny to stop. Oh, really quick, I wanted to say something about that particular scene. So when Kenny calls out to Jesse from the crowd, he says, I'll fight you, Langell. It reminded me, I don't know if it reminded, because I just think weird shit, but all I heard was Apollo Creed in Rocky 1. I want you, Stallion. You know what I mean?
I do not remember that scene.
Oh, YouTube it, man, because he channeled his rage. That's what happens. He channeled the power of Carl Weathers right there.
There it is.
And, you know, it's totally possible because, you know, if this is in 2000, you know, the movie had already been out for like 30 years.
It's true.
That's all I'm saying. So he in my head, ladies and gentlemen, he channeled the power of Carl Weathers. More importantly, it was Apollo Creed, and that's where he's getting this strength from. I just want to point that out because it really. I'm not even trying to make a joke. That's totally what it reminded me of.
Okay.
So we do find out that what in fact happened, at least in this version of the story, this perception is that Kenny just went apeshit basically, and he went to attack Jesse and not let go. Jesse's telling him to stop. He doesn't want this to happen, but of course he has to start, you know, there's self-preservation that becomes involved here, and he ends up strangling Kenny out of self-defense. Now, this is where the story changes a lot, because in Sabina's version, Madam Boyd's version, you know, after the killing, Jesse gets up and says, are you not entertained? But in Jesse's version, what happens is, and it all kind of makes sense to me, because I think this is another thing, like if Jesse's telling this to Tulip, this is just more confirmation that he is the guy that he's, you know, that she knows that he is.
Yes.
Because, you know, these 2 stories, she didn't say, this is what she told me. He's just telling her his version. And in this version, Jody raises his arm and says, are you not entertained? So it makes, you know, it puts Jesse into a better light.
Oh, no, because, and also Jesse was there, and whoever told Sabina was there, but it was a second hand.
Yeah. There was a tweet that came out. I retweeted it yesterday, but it was some guy said, how's she telling this story and she wasn't even there? I thought that was kind of funny because it makes perfect sense. True. Right. Yeah. That's why I retweeted it, man.
Nice.
Thank you. When Jesse finishes his side of the story, Tulip says, man, this place sucks. And Jesse replies, just you wait. Tulip responds with, oh, I will. You damn right. And Jesse asks if they're good again. Tulip says, only one way to find out. And this is what the embrace that I'm talking about. They embrace very much like they would in the comic. And, you know, they're going to get down, basically. Yes. But it really looked like it could come from an actual panel. And I thought that was awesome. Yes. But again, just my opinion. So we fast forward. It's now morning. The deed is done. Tulip and Jesse are laying in bed, and Tulip sort of just wakes up suddenly. She's like, shit, your ex-girlfriend. Jesse kind of stirs, and he's like, what? And she says, nothing. Just go ahead and go back to sleep. She immediately goes back outside to her car, and I think this is the scene that you were talking about. She opens up the trunk.
Yeah.
And Sabina's just chilling in the trunk, looking at her phone like she's playing, you know, Candy Crush or something like that. I think it's really cool that the women in this show just don't scare easily. Like they really, like, I don't think I've ever seen a show, say for like, maybe like Game of Thrones or something like that, where the women are this tough.
Oh, and the thing is, she was cooler than Tulip would have been in that trunk.
Oh yeah, Tulip would have got out.
Kicking, and they'll be like, you've been kicking all night? Yes, I've been kicking all. That's what would have happened. But for this woman, she's like, in the trunk in the middle of nowhere, not a big deal.
Yeah, and she certainly wouldn't be quiet when the trunk was open. She'd be like, why the hell did you leave me? Exactly. You know, she'd say something like that.
Exactly.
But I kind of like Sabina, man. I hope she sticks around for a while. I totally dig her cool, calm, and collected attitude.
Yes.
Tulip apologizes to Sabina for forgetting about her and saying, you know, it got busy. And Tulip asks Sabina, where her people are, since, they should be there. They should have come to get her. She did lock her in a car, and not, she's noticing she does have a phone with her. But Sabina, very cool, tells her that she called them off, told her not to even come. And Tulip tells her, so you can break it, meaning the spell. Sabina says, no, but you can. She tells Tulip that if she wants to get rid of a spell like that, she has to get rid of the person who cast the spell. And then the spell's broken. Tulip, doubting that that's, actually going to be the end of it, says something to the effect of, oh, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to get a boomerangy gotcha sucker thing. Or she says something like that.
That's what everybody would think.
And Jesse's head's going to fall off. And, Sabina assures her, no, it's cool. That's not what's going to happen. Jesse's going to be fine. Tulip says something to the effect of, like, you've been burning my ears off all night. And, about how much you hate Jesse. So why should I even trust you? And this is where Sabina tells her that as much as she hates Jesse, there's one person in the world that she hates even more. And she tells her it's simple. You want Jesse out of here? Kill his grandma. Scene cuts, and we get one more scene before we're already done, guys. But we get one more scene, and we're back in hell now.
This is the scene, ladies and gentlemen, that I was like, wait, because it opens with him being whipped. The Saint of Killers is still being whipped by the Angel of Death, who I'm still wondering how they are related, because they are somehow. But anyway,
why do you think that?
Because generally in lore, either Satan is like sisters with the Angel of Death, or he's in love with her, or something like that. It's some weird connection they have.
Oh, so you're referring to actual like biblical lore?
No biblical. I'm saying, like, when people talk about the Angel of Death, she is somehow connected with Satan often.
Oh, okay, all right.
But at least in my brain, maybe not.
What though? You know what? Sorry to interrupt you, but last season when Arseface was in hell and he was escaping, and there was that hooded figure, Sharon.
Yes.
Remember, the one is like, I don't know what that is, and he asked him, "Are you the Angel of Death?" So okay, that makes sense. I'm sorry. Please proceed.
And so they're whipping, and then Satan says, "That'll be enough." And I'm thinking, have they been whipping him the whole time we're watching? Like, it seems like a long whipping. And you're like, oh, no, it must be that quick.
Nope.
No.
I was so happy to see this, dude. I really was so happy to see it.
Dude. And so he comes up and Satan tells him, okay, look, I'm going to let you up there and you're going to have to bring back the two people that I'm going to give you the information on the two people you need to bring back. And Saint says, my pistols. And Satan says,
Ease back,
I
cowboy.
Don't need you. Yeah, chill. He said, I don't need you shooting up hotel rooms and all that. He said, I need you to bring them back alive. I don't know if the Saint knows how to do this.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how his character plays out now.
Yeah, because...
And it might even be comedic.
It will be, because he now has to use the force of his strength to bring back people. I don't know how that's good, but he says he puts the file of the two people he wants, and they don't show the file. We're thinking it's Hitler and Arseface, but there's a reason they don't show the pictures, because you thought that they were going to turn around and the camera was going to zoom in to who it was, and they did not do that. So I was like, okay, wait, are we being hoodwinked?
I'm not entirely sure that we're not being. I mean, I know that we just talked about at the top of the show how it makes sense because he's saying that they escaped from hell and he's got a reputation to uphold and all of that. But I really wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't them. I think it's going to be, though. It has to be.
It has to be them. And I think it would be like funny to see poor little Arseface's file. Be like, this is the guy you're bringing back? But Hitler I get. But seeing Hitler and Arseface together, you're like, oh, come on. This is the guy you're going after? But he's like, you bring him back. He said, I'll give you your pistols and you can shoot every preacher on the face of this planet if you want.
Knock yourself out.
Knock yourself out if you bring these. And I'm like, oh, so Satan has free reign. He feels like he has free reign. He's like, but then this is what gets you. The Saint turns around and it's just ribs and flesh.
And that is where I went, damn it, they paid it off. They paid it off.
So
it was so awesome.
Dude, he had been getting whipped this whole time.
Yeah. And again, I don't even mind the variation because in the comic, he's whipping Saint Killers, but he has the Angel of Death doing it. That's no big deal because the Angel of Death was in fact in the comic. In that scenario, I believe they were playing a card game together. And it was a man, but it doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who's whipping the Saint. As soon as I saw them doing that at the top of the show, I'm thinking, oh God, we got to see the spine. And they came,
totally did.
They came through,
And the thing is, that's another thing off biblical lore because they believe that you could see bones in the ribs of Christ when he was getting whipped.
Dude, I saw that on that movie Passion of the Christ. That freaked me out.
Yes, and I was like, oh, they're going full. Someone on the show was raised in Christian school.
Or just did their homework.
Or that.
But, I mean, it's pretty common, though. I would imagine that's... I mean, hell, if I know a little something about that, then I imagine anyone that actually put forth effort into it really knows about it. Someone like yourself, for instance.
And my thing is, look, the reveal was so shocking to me. And it shouldn't have been because I knew he was getting whipped, but in my brain, I'm like, they wouldn't have had him getting whipped this whole time. But
it's hell,
though. Wait a minute. I mean, you could write any tweets like, that'll be enough. So I'm like, well, of course they didn't stop immediately after the scene. He just got whipped and whipped away. And he's like, you did not disappoint. Not a word from you the whole time. Another biblical reference. They said, Christ said not a mumbling word while he was being whipped. It was like, oh, I get what they're doing.
Nice pull, man.
I see what they're doing. And so he's like, you did not disappoint me. You did not say a word. Angel of Death is not, she's mad actually.
She looked mad.
She wanted to hear her scream. She wanted to hear something. And he just didn't give it to him.
He told her to drink a glass of milk and eat a sandwich or something like that. She was feeling mocked.
And it was so cool because it was like, Satan's not there for that. Satan genuinely wanted to punish him for leaving. Even though 2 angels let him up, he doesn't care. This is your punishment for disobeying the rules of hell.
Yeah, it was very much like a crime boss thing. Like, I'm going to be very cordial to you. You want something to drink? You know what I mean? Whatever. But ultimately, you're going to pay for what you did.
And you can't do anything to me. Anyone else, you could have just killed us both. We are above your pay grade right now. But as soon as he gets those pistols, let me tell you something, Dan.
Do tell.
Let me tell you something, brother. Dan.
Please do.
Saint ain't going to forget this.
Oh, no.
He ain't. They ruined his duster.
You think that's what it is? He's mad because he's like, I can't get that duster anymore. They don't even make that thing anymore.
They don't.
My grandpa gave it to me.
His duster.
So do you think he's going to be walking around in the show with his spine exposed?
You know what? I'm tripping. You know what? Is this a continuity issue? Because
you know what, dude?
He walked in, he said, take off your duster.
Yeah. I just, as soon as you caught it, I caught it too. No, he's got his duster still.
No, but there's no way he has his duster because he was wearing it on the way out and you could see his ribs.
I'm going to have to go back just to make sure, but
I hope, because he wasn't holding his duster in his hands, was he? I hope he was, because if he's wearing his dusters walking out, I'm like, oh, man.
I'm not even sure if he walked out with his duster now that you're mentioning it.
Oh, he has to. He can't get a new one.
That's what I'm saying. Like his grandpa probably gave it to him or something like that.
But I loved how he was like, he didn't even flinch at when he was walking away. You could just see his ribs and everything. But he is ready. I think the main reason he's doing this is A, he gets to kill Preacher, and B, he gets his pistols. I don't know do you think Satan's really going to give him his pistols back? For real?
I mean, he could be playing him, but I know that in the Saint's head, I mean, that's how he has to get his job, his original mission done with those pistols. He needs those pistols. He doesn't necessarily need those pistols, but they make things a whole lot easier.
And here's the thing. If he's going to kill Preacher, right? Say he's going to get Preacher, and Preacher's like, he runs into Preacher while trying to get Arseface, and which could totally happen.
Right.
And Preacher, he's like, I'm going to kill you, Preacher. And Preacher's like, I can tell you where your guns are. Now there's a conversation. I can tell you where your guns are.
That's always kind of been the way with Jesse, though. He's always bargained with him to get what he needs.
And he's like, you don't have to go to Satan to get your guns. I can give you your guns now. And then now Satan has a few people he hates. He hates Preacher. He really hates Satan. And he hates the Angel of Death. Now it's going to be like well, if you get your guns, who are you going after first, though?
It's possible that we might not even see Satan again until the end.
I don't know what they're doing, dude.
Are you okay, man? You gonna be all right?
I don't know what that means you don't even get to see him get shot. You don't get to see him get his guns from Satan. What are they doing, Dan?
We don't know. Maybe he's gonna show back up, Steve. You don't know. But I think that it's very possible that he doesn't show back up. And we don't see resolution until the end of the season, or like the end of the series. It's very possible.
Oh, my God.
And I'm more confident than ever. I haven't even bothered looking at the numbers, but I'm more confident than ever. Like, I have no doubt in my mind there's going to be a season 4 if they play it that way, if they want it. Because it just seems to me like everyone's down with this season.
I think in our circle it is.
In our circle, you're right.
In our circle, because it feels like in our circle everybody watches Atlanta. But when you look at the ratings, they're good ratings, but not as much as our circle would say.
Well, if you're going to put it that way, as in our circle, I would assume you're meaning like everyone that's on Twitter and all the people that we talk back and forth with. Okay, well, those same people weren't as happy last season.
True.
So why wouldn't they?
But they were gonna stick around regardless.
We didn't know. We didn't know for a long time. We didn't know. We were like up until like I think it was like November, possibly December, when we found out that there was going to be a season. No,
but I'm saying the people that we follow would have watched anyway.
That's true.
We need people that never saw it before and was like, "Have you seen this show, Preacher?"
Well, that's when we call on you good people, the listeners. Yes. This is your job. If you want to see this show continue, tell a friend.
And
tell 5 people.
Tell them to slog through first and second.
Yeah, explain to them that the payoff's coming, but just get through seasons 1 and 2.
Please get through. It's
more so season 1.
I just watched a show that they're like the first and second seasons are Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It took a while for them to find their footing, but they let them go for seasons after that. It took a while for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to find their footing. Just like Animal Kingdom. The first few episodes of Animal Kingdom, first 5, 6, 7, you really have to sit there and watch it. And then it ties you in. I think if Preacher goes for 7 seasons, this is going to be the season that got everybody involved. This is the one that got everybody being like, oh, and they really have to do a better job with the viral marketing. Actually show that crazy hell room. That's insane.
Yeah.
Show fun things with the Saints guns. Not with the Saint, but just show the guns and be like, these are the pistols we use. These pistols are vintage, blah, blah, blah. Just show all that stuff that we would love to see, because what you're doing is you're solidifying us, which is going to make us want to go tell other people. Have you seen that video? Have you seen that really cool video about the preacher this and preacher that? Next thing you know, people want to be part of the conversation. That's the thing. People want to be part of the conversation.
I actually feel like, and not that it's going to matter for our little show, but I almost feel like time stamping this part right here and then going, hey, people at Preacher, listen to this, because you know what? I have a suggestion too. Not only are your suggestions fantastic, but you know what I suggest? I think, okay, I'm going to go ahead and spend your money, AMC. I'm going to spend your money for you. Why not do webisodes?
Dude.
Why not do webisodes? Do like 10 1 to 2 minute webisodes prior to the next season. It's going to build up hype.
No question.
You can share those on social media. It will just build up hype. People will want it. Depending on how you write them, people will gain interest in this and be very curious and want to see what's going on with this. Then they go back and they watch up to where we are now. It's a done deal, ladies and gentlemen.
Gee, tell me something, Dan. Let me just say you're welcome right now, AMC. You're welcome. What me and Dan are about to talk about, Dan and I.
Okay, let's do it.
How many people would watch Satan's webisode?
I would. I think everyone would. I know every reader would.
That guy having random meetings with different people in hell. Come on, dude. He would be fantastic.
He would be awesome. I think that they could.
Fantastic, man.
I think more importantly, they should focus, if they were going to do webisodes, it should be focused on characters that are not the primary characters. Let's leave Tulip and Cassidy, maybe Cassidy, because Cassidy's got some backstories and things like that that would be very interesting. You know what I mean? For instance, AMC, what about an origin story for Cassidy? Let's make that a little bit of a longer webisode. Let's go 15 minutes on that one. 10 minutes, let's 15 tops. Let's go 10 minutes on that. I'm willing to work with you. But I think that everyone would want to see this. Granted, I am spending your money, hypothetically, but I really think that you should look into this. I know that certain people listen to this show that are from AMC from time to time. I know that for a fact. So please, if you're listening, just consider it. Take it to the boys. Take it to Seth Rogen and say, hey, my buddy Dan, had this great idea, and then I'll timestamp it, and there it is, right there. You're welcome, Seth Rogen. You're welcome.
Here's what would be fun. The only problem is it's not on AMC. Now, this is never going to happen, people. I'm just having fun with it. If they had a webisode, they set up a webisode where they're like, who's next to fight? And he's like, I'll come down next. And he comes down and it's the Butcher. Oh, dude. But it can't happen because they're on two different separate.
The Butcher.
things.
Are you meaning the Butcher as far as the boys?
Yes, gee. How fun would that be? But the thing is, if it was on AMC, I guarantee Seth Rogen could have made it happen. But since it's on HBO or Showtime or something, or no, Amazon Prime, can't happen. But how fun would that be?
I can tell you that it would be fun, but I know damn well it'll never happen.
It can't. It can't ever happen. But it could have. And some people would have been like, well, that makes no sense. But the people that knew that they'd be like, oh my God. That's so good.
No,
or if Jody was like, I've only been beaten by one person. It showed the Butcher, G. Come on, dude. That would be
kind of dope. But even they wouldn't even have to fight. It would just be like, who's next to fight this man? And then all of a sudden, Butcher pops out. I'll fight him, mate. And then it just stops. It just stops right there.
It just shows him in his leather coat. Oh my goodness. That's not going to happen. Okay, fine. But I would love seeing Satan in his office dealing with stupid office bullcrap in hell.
Yeah, like
Random
real office bullshit. Like,
yes!
Xerox machine doesn't work. Stuff like that.
Yes. Where's my pencils? Like stupid things that
what if they did it
with?
like The Office?
Dude.
Here's but it's just Satan, you know?
If that's as much as a shot across the bow that is saying it could work or it can't work, no matter if you liked it or not, people would be like, dude, that is such a daring thing to do. And I'm going to watch this show now. Here's the problem with that. People would fall in love with Satan and be like, why isn't he on the show? They'd watch Preacher waiting for him and be like, oh, by the way, he's not on the show.
That's true. But I mean, again, we're just being hypothetical. But
oh, totally.
I think the take home is webisodes, man. Some kind of marketing. Let's get creative with the marketing.
Totally.
I don't understand why it's not like that, why it's never been that way. I will give AMC props that they did go with a marketing slogan this time, which was the whole don't watch this show kind of thing. And it did bring some attention, I think. But yeah, they need to step it up. T-shirts, more figures, all that kind of shit.
And you know what? The T-shirt's important. That grandma T-shirt is I would love that T-shirt. But I think a big one is, like you said, the origin story. Give us a Cass City origin story. Give us a Jody origin story. How did he get so freaking strong?
Story of young Jody?
Yes, and TC. Give us a Boyd. How did Boyd and how did she come up through the ranks? After that scream, what happened to her? It's stuff that we would watch.
Well, we've put it out there, and let's see if they listen, because I'm totally down for it. You're welcome,
we'll only
AMC.
Take 10%.
Yeah, or just, you know what? Invite us to the premiere next season. I'll settle with that.
Oh, dude.
I'm putting it out there. AMC, we want to come to the premiere season 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it. That is it. I don't know. Did you want to do contact info again, or are you done?
Why the hell not? Sure.
Okay. Before I leave, Dan is going to give us the contact information one more again for all you woke capers out there. Hook us up.
So, guys, if you want to get a hold of the show, and thank you for listening, by the way. I had a freaking fun time this time. I really did. Yeah, I enjoyed the show very much. My favorite yet, by the way. If you want to reach us, you can reach us at askthewordpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter @word_podcast. Reach myself, Dan, at DanQPublic, and Steve at SE_Hudson Music. Hit us up at www.heroesofnoise.com, where you will find this show, not only this show, but the other show that we do, which is Heroes of Noise. Listen to it. We think you'll enjoy it. And we have a new episode coming out very soon, by the way. Promise. We really do. And subscribe to the shows. Subscribe to them both. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, you name it, that's where we are. And again, we always ask this, please, we really mean it. If you could leave us a 5-star review, we would be very appreciative of it. Other than that, that's it. I'm done. It's been a great show.
This, my friends, is the end. It's the end of the word as we know it. Just this episode, though. Just this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to The Word, the Unofficial Preacher Podcast, episode 4 from season 3. Holla at your boy, and I'll talk to you next week. The next voice you're going to hear is the most awesome dude that you've ever run into or heard through those wonderful ear holes. Dan. Peace.
Well, you heard it first, man. This is the best voice you're going to hear all week. Totally kidding, of course, guys, but thank you very much for listening. It's been a hell of a show. I look forward because I know damn well that you guys have comments about this episode. So please hit us up. You have all week to do so. We're going to put the next one out probably next Tuesday after, of course, we see episode 5. One more thing. The only thing that I watched in the trailer is we do have a coffin scene that's coming up. And the readers out there, I ask you this question. I pose this question to you. Do you think that we will see the Duke? Will the Duke show up in the next episode? That's what I want to know. Hit us up. Again, askthewordpodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter. We're good either way. My name is Dan Ramirez. That's Steve Hudson over there. And you have been listening to our lovely podcast. As I say every week, thanks for listening.